And alrighty, this is Erik Wait. This is special edition Erik Wait Whiskey Studies here in San Diego with my good friend Bill, the Whisky Dictionary.
Hey,
in case you guys didn't know, he's actually my long lost son.
Yes, you do get your hair from your father.
So I'm really excited about. I've been there's a lot of people I've been wanting to meet. We're spread out not only all over the country, but across the planet. And I've been really blessed over the last year and a half to make more and more contacts. By the way, guys, let me know how the volume is. Let me know if everything's working well. It's an extra challenge to go on the road and set everything up and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I do have a tech geek here to help me out and make some adjustments and stuff. So you said you got echo.
There's echo. Okay, so cool. I got that.
So anyway, so any opportunity I have to meet a fellow whiskey tuber, then I'm gonna jump on it. So I jumped on a plane and flew down from San Jose down here to San Diego. Well, it's actually raining, which is kind of unusual. I lived down there for 8 years. It doesn't rain down here a whole lot. And running about, and we're here, and I'm absolutely really excited to be here and finally meet up with my good friend Bill, the Whisky Dictionary. So we're gonna pop open. We got 2 bottles here. First, we're gonna start. This is a Lagavulin Jazz. Where'd the bag go?
Bag is up there. I'll go grab it in a second.
Yeah,
I ruined everything when I fiddled. So.
It's okay. So this is a special edition from Lagavulin. This is called the Lagavulin Jazz. So there's the fish eel on Islay, and then Ardbeg has like Ardbeg Day. So this is something they have. They have the voting during the show.
They want to know whose bald head is sexier.
Well, I mean, it's not even competition. I mean,
It's
hello.
clearly. But can you do this?
No, that I can't do.
See,
that.
it's Eric's glass, so I didn't really mind if it breaks.
So it comes in this special bag, the Lagavulin Jazz Festival. There's something I brought back from Islay, and we're actually kicking off a whole month of Islay month. Although this is Islay month Eve. So we're gonna have I'm gonna have a whole month of Islay, bringing on a bunch of guests. Some will be pre-recorded, some will be premiere, some will be live, and this is one of the rare ones we're going to have actually in person, which is absolutely awesome. So we're going to do this Lagavulin Jazz, start off a little bit lighter, and then move on to Laphroaig Cask Strength 10. This is number 7 out of the top 20 for
Whiskey Advocate.
The Whiskey Advocate. Yeah. So I'm doing a lot of talking. Let's do a little bit of pouring and drinking. So let's start off with the Lagavulin. You want to open that one, and I'll open the Laphroaig.
Who's gonna win?
I'm usually using my sommelier tool, but
There we go. Oh, he's gonna win.
There you go.
All right, I'm going brute strike. I won.
There we go.
I just ripped through the label instead of opening it up properly.
Wow.
I'm very excited. I haven't had either one of these yet. So, and Erik is, as you guys know, a pro. So he's gonna talk me through.
I just want to increase the channel's talk a little bit so I can read it a little bit more. Just give me a second here. All right, so go ahead.
While you're doing that, just let me say. So, as Erik was saying, we're in San Diego. So, it just so happened we were kind of planning this for a little while, actually. The last time I was out in San Diego was early December, and we had talked about whether we could potentially do this as well. More just kind of like, when am I going out to San Diego? So, Erik could try to plan some trips around it, too. So, this is a long time coming. So, we're going Lagavulin. Which one did you say this was?
The Lagavulin Jazz.
Jazz, that's right.
So it's Lagavulin Jazz. Let me read it real quick. 57.6% alcohol by volume.
Nice.
So these are both cask strength, which is really nice. I've not tasted this. I bought 2 bottles from the distillery and brought them back. And this is bottled in 2017, and that's as much as I know.
Awesome. So anyway, so we were planning this for a little while. And when it just so happened that I was going to be out here late January,
I'll put you a little
That's
more.
all right. I mean, it's almost 57%.
Yeah.
We could always pour a second one.
That's a Sean pour.
So anyway, so it just so happened, and Erik was like, "All right, well, I'm going out that week too." And long story short, I'm flying home tomorrow. He just got here today, about 4 hours ago, maybe not even
that long. Just a couple hours ago.
Yeah. So we kind of. Oh, you're pouring the other one. I thought you were gonna try to pour me some more again. I think he's gonna keep trying to sneak and get me drunk. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Well, I've never seen you drunk on your show. Yeah, right.
I will say I typically cut it off before it gets too bad.
Right.
When I notice I'm getting drunk, that's when I cut it off. So it's usually well after you guys have noticed I'm getting
So
drunk.
let me say hello to everybody in the room real quick. I don't want to. It's a little challenging, because we're not at home, not using my normal setup. We've had to rearrange the furniture here in the hotel. We actually had to steal a chair from another room.
Yeah.
So let me just really, really quick say hello in the room. It's going to be challenging to interact with everybody. So Louis Ochoa, the Malted Man Cave, D.H. Silv, also known as Dustin, is in there. Jason Mash and Drum, Jason C., Jason Fisk. I saw Scotch Test Dummies earlier. Yep. Vito Gagliardi from Castering is on there. Jason Fisk. And there may be some others as well. Just keep talking, and when I see your name pop up, I'll say hi to you guys.
I'm seeing your comments there, Silv.
What do you say? Bill and Erik are in a hotel together moving furniture.
Yeah, a minute ago he was making fun of me about my time zones. So here's the deal. I didn't know when we were going to go because Eric's flight ended up being slightly delayed. He was flying, and I was trying to put out a video so we would get people showing up. And so I just kind of went off of our best guess. And then when we realized that we were going to potentially step on Scotch for Dummies, we decided to move the time a little bit. So anyway, that's what that was all about. Plus, it gave me an excuse to put my face on my channel a couple times today.
And we had just a wee dram before we went live as we're setting everything up.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll work out really well.
So that was the Middleton 2016 Very Rare.
And that was a really, really good story. I mean, it was nice on its own. The hint of sweetness, a little maltiness, a little honey, kind of honey notes to it.
Yeah.
It was really nice, and a really nice warm-up before jumping into these beasts on here.
It was super light and fruity, and it was just kind of a good... I showed up at the door. We shook hands, said hi, whatever, and within about 20 minutes or so, we had a dram together, and seemed appropriate to start that off. So, all right, so we got the Lagavulin Jazz. I mean, clearly we got smoke and Lil Pete. So.
And the fruit shines through. So, it's uniquely, I don't know, it's a little chocolate to it going on there as well.
It's a little orange in there as well.
Yeah, some citrus.
Yeah.
But we got to give it some time.
Not a huge surprise. I mean, even when you... Not that it's a hard and fast rule or anything, but typically when I see a Scotch this color, I usually end up getting some sort of citrus. It depends on where it's from, of course, but it's, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
He does ums, and I do wows.
That's true. Ooh, it gets better.
Oh
yeah.
Got a nice evolution to it.
Oh, that finish.
If you get a punch of fruit and then the smoke and the chocolate and everything else going on, really, really nice.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And it kind of finishes on a cigarette ash.
Yeah.
Or a cigar ash.
It's ashy.
Yeah.
Which I think, if I come back to in a couple of weeks, down there below, get down the middle of it, that would probably kind of mellow out.
What do you say? Drink past the shoulder?
Yeah. Get it past the shoulder.
Get it past the shoulder.
Belly of it.
Yeah.
Particularly the Laphroaig. I mean, I'm expecting this to be a real beast when we get to it. Even just the regular 10, I did more ashy. I tend to get more chocolate, peppermint patties with a little mintiness to it. So I'm expecting that one to be a beast to it.
Yeah.
And this one's, it's non-chill filtered. They just do a particle filter just to move chunks. But it's unchill. Other than that, it's unchill filtered. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I want to do, at least when the first time I have someone on, is I want to get to know people. So, and you guys, if you guys have been watching before, I say this a lot. It's about the people, the place, and production. I'm really into the history of a distillery or the history of a winery, the people behind it, the story behind it, and then the place, the terroir, the water, the vineyards or everything else, and then production. What's unique about the production? Whether it's the length of the stills and the line arm and where they're doing their cuts and so forth. What kind of barrels they're using. And so, my first time I will have someone onto my channel, I want to get to know a person better. And you can do it on the phone. You can do it in a chat room matter. But I think sitting around in person, having a dram, having a glass of whiskey is the better way to do it. So
totally agree.
A lot of people know my story. Been into whiskey, been into wine for 20 years. Been into whiskey since April 2016. My 30-year anniversary is coming up. So what's sort of your background or history or how you got into? You may have said this on your own channel.
I totally have, but I totally love telling the story.
Okay.
I think it's a pretty. I don't. Let me just tell it. But first, Jason, yes, I love peated whiskey. I'm any self-respecting Scotch drinker will end up in Islay, right? So
Eventually.
Eventually, yeah. So you certainly can't have a whiskey channel and not attack some peated whiskeys.
Right.
But, so my story. So a long time ago, thinking back almost 10 years at this point, my wife and I had just started dating. Actually, I guess 8 years. So my wife and I had just started dating, and I was determined to lose some weight. I know this is.
I'm still working on it.
So I have since rebounded and gained some more.
It's in me here too.
The stress of real jobs. So anyway, I made a pact with myself that I was going to lose. I think it was something like 80 pounds, and I was just at 300, and I wanted to hit 220. Wow. Yeah. So
you're tall too.
I am. I'm 6'3". So.
Wow. And I'm 5'10". I mean,
yes,
I'm sitting on a booster seat just to get where I'm at.
So. My wife and I, it was like the day after I made this decision. I said I was not going to have pizza until I lost that 80 pounds. That was my reward at the end of the journey. So I ended up going to my wife Katie, her friend's house, and we were going for dinner. And of course, they ordered pizza like 2 days after I made it. So I didn't want to be a rude guest, so of course I had it. And after kind of just having some of this stuff and whatever, the guy that was there, he invited me to go on a whiskey tour. He said, I love whiskey, mostly bourbon. He's from Kentucky, and he was like, "Come on downstairs. Like, do you like whiskey?" And I said, "Well, I drink Jack Daniels." So sorry.
He probably cringed.
Okay. This was years ago. I was like, "Yeah, I drink plenty of Jack Daniels."
The $2 chuck of the whiskey world.
So he's like, no, like real whiskey. So we go into his basement. He's got this whole setup, and he's like, "I'm going to take you a tour around the world." And he literally had. Kind of like what I did for that World Whiskey Day. He had a whiskey from every area except for Canada in his case, which
right.
So anyway, so we had all these things, and it was awesome. It was like a whole new world. I had no idea. Oftentimes I'm hearing people in my comments saying the same kind of thing. They're like, I had Jack Daniels forever, and I finally tried something real, and I had no idea that whiskey could taste this way, right? Wow. So I was in the same boat, and what happened was. I went upstairs after probably about 45 minutes or so. My wife and the wife of the other guy had been talking the whole time, and I come upstairs after having many drams in 45 minutes, which you've all seen me do, so you know how it gets. And she's like, "Oh, let's head home, whatever." So on the ride home, she actually says, "I think it's really sexy when a guy drinks whiskey." And that was the beginning of the end.
Wow.
So it was probably like a couple of years later when I finally started the channel. I think I'm about to hit 4 years. At least anniversary of my first video, which I think was on March 16th.
Okay.
So I've been doing this for a while, and her and I have been together since 2010.
Okay.
So anyway, that's kind of how I got into this. It was pretty much that one sentence from my wife drove me to drink more whiskey, and then I grew a love for it, and then decided to share that on YouTube with people.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So
yeah, for me, it was studying for an exam and not wanting to drink it. I wanted to focus on wine, and I ended up going off the sidewalk, getting into whiskey.
Mm-hmm. So you obviously you love both, and you have 2 channels.
Yeah, I don't spend a whole lot of time actually these days on my wine channel. It's been mostly focused on whiskey. Well, I've kind of gone around the world, not in an airplane, but I've had wines from everywhere. Mm-hmm. Studied all the regions, taken exams on the regions, done videos from just about everywhere you can think of. Yeah, maybe there's some obscure place in Romania or whatever. But I've had wines from everywhere, and so it's just kind of like new grounds, new venture, new exploration. And I'm about studying stuff, but I'm not really doing things for exams per se. Yeah. Although I'm going to be taking a course through the Edinburgh Whiskey Academy in Edinburgh.
That's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah. So you actually have like 6 or 7 classes or assignments to do online, and then you have the 2-day class, and then you have the exam, and you visit a distillery as well.
Do you have any idea which one you're going to visit?
Glenkinchie, because Glenkinchie is right there near Edinburgh.
Okay. So, I have not had anything from them before.
I have had a couple. It didn't wow me. It didn't excite me. I was hoping to visit them last time I was there, but so for anyone planning on going to Scotland, a few tips. One, not every there's out of the 130 or so distilleries, not all of them are open to the public. A lot of them, they're about 15 years technologically in terms of websites behind the United States.
That is true.
You cannot just pop in and knock. Hey, I want to do a tour. You have to do anything in advance. You have to do reservations in advance. It can be quite a hassle. So anyway, I'll be working on something on that to help people navigate and save a lot of time planning on tours on that. But yeah, I couldn't even get a credit card number through to Glenn Kinchy to make a reservation.
Really? Wow.
This is part of the class, therefore I don't have to sign on as an additional tour.
You know, based off what you said about your opinion of them, I almost wonder if they have a deal with the people giving the test. You know, to more like, hey, visit us afterwards, and we'll provide some free whiskey for your taste or whatever.
They could, but the main thing is geographically they're really, really close by, and so if you're part of a course, it's like you're going to do a field trip.
Right.
So I actually studied winemaking in Livermore at Las Positas College in Livermore, and so. Yeah, part of one of the classes is we went and toured some wineries, in Livermore because it's close by.
Right.
And I could trek all the way up to Napa or something like that. But it's something similar to that.
So I do need to interrupt you because unfortunately Malted Man Cave beat me to it.
What did he do?
So DJ Bacon is here. It's actually DJ Bacon.
DJ Bacon.
Yes,
I started calling him DJ Bacon.
Yeah, well, so I just wanted to point out that DJ Bacon was here and say hey.
And Bourbon Insane is in the house.
Yep, Bourbon Insane's been here since.
Chun.
Most of these guys have been here since we popped on.
Okay, Dean D.
Hey.
Yeah, we don't want to neglect you guys. Yep. We love you too. Killajolt, that one's new.
Killajolt's he's in my Discord. He's been a fan of the
Okay,
for a while.
Cool. Everybody else we got going there. So if you want to catch my attention,
do that.
Put my and actually I've noticed your name will highlight even if they don't do the @ symbol.
Oh really?
Yeah. So
That's
if you just
interesting.
type in
type Erik Wait.
But if you spell Erik with a C, you actually get blocked from my chat room and banned. You can never come back.
I'm so glad I haven't done that. I will say actually I think I was doing a voice to text earlier to you. And it totally spelled your name with a C, and I didn't correct it because I was driving. Well, YouTube, so I hope that's forgivable.
Well, YouTube has this new function, so you spend all this work making
it worked.
Yeah, see, there you go. It works. It turns them orange.
That's so much more helpful. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so you don't have to do the @ symbol anymore. Hot damn, I taught him something about technology. Hot damn, well, I've noticed it when someone just mentions my name in another chat room without doing the @ symbol, and it popped up. Anyway, cool. Hot damn, 2 of my favorite whiskey tubers. Well, thank you very much. Tasting, you need to watch more whiskey tubers. That I just bought. I scored Laphroaig 10 Castering. Nice. So this was about $60, I think.
Yeah, pretty good price.
And I don't remember how much I paid for this. If you visit a distillery, the challenge is not. They're not that expensive from the distillery.
Right.
The challenge is getting them home.
Right.
So if you just have a lot of dirty laundry, that's a good way to bring them back. So Mash and Drum asked me if I'm still planning to come down to Kentucky. I can get to London, England, faster than I can get to Kentucky, because there's no direct flights and there's no late flights. So I can leave 10 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night from San Francisco and then be in London by 2 o'clock in the afternoon the next day and hopefully sleep along the way.
I was gonna say, do you sleep on planes? I can't sleep on planes.
A little bit.
So my biggest deal whenever I'm on a plane, like let's say I'm flying home tomorrow, right? So it's gonna be like a 5.5 hour flight. The whole time, I think I'm leaving at like 1:20, but I'm not landing until almost like 10:30 that time, right? So like I could totally sleep on the plane, even though it's middle of the day. But whenever I find myself with 5 hours of time to do anything,
right,
sleeping is the last thing on my mind. Like I just don't really sleep very much, and people that see me in Discord will absolutely be able to attest that. I'm messaging them at like 1:30 and then 5 o'clock, the next morning.
Well, I think my thing
don't sleep very much.
When I went to London, I was so excited.
Yeah.
I was just like, and like first 2 days I didn't really sleep a whole lot. So one of Roy's complaints was that I was like a zombie. I mean, I was doing fine, but I was like a zombie there.
Yeah.
And then jet lag and all that kind of crud.
I went to London back in, it was the year that they had the Olympics there. Okay. Maybe 2012, if that sounds right. Yeah, whatever. Which was really cool because they had like a bunch of stuff. They had the rings on the Tower Bridge, I think is what they call it. Yeah. Okay. It's what everybody thinks of when they think London Bridge. It's right. Tower Bridge or whatever it is. They had the giant Olympic rings, which was very cool. So did you spend any actual time in London, or did you?
Yeah, I was there for 2 days with Jason Whiskey Wise, who was awesome. He was my guide, so he toured me around London. We went and saw the Buckingham Palace. The Big Ben still has scaffolding around it, so it's under sort of reconstruction and restoration. And then we spent a lot. My favorite place was Milroy's, a bar in London. They've got awesome whiskey bars. There's the Whiskey Exchange there.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So that even if before I got to Scotland, I'd already hit heaven, just because there are so many whiskeys you could try by the glass at these whiskey bars. So I think there's like 3 or 4. We mostly hung out at Milroy's. But anyway, so I'll be going back there to spend another 2 days there and doing the same thing. Hopefully, people there in London will come meet up, and then I'll probably have another big meetup in Glasgow as well.
Fantastic.
So something I've tentatively got planned, and I haven't got the details I'm working on. I'm actually looking at maybe hosting a whiskey dinner in Glasgow on July 6th.
Awesome.
But it's a work in progress. I'm going to keep it down to about 15, 16 people at the most. But
I think it's a good move.
But details will be in the future. I don't know people in Glasgow, so Roy maybe help me out, or people are going to commute. And
Roy's got a pretty good following. I'm sure you could fill out those seats. Yeah.
So you mostly do bourbons. I know you're a big bourbon fan. The Mash and Drums, big bourbon guy. Obviously, whiskey shenanigans, formerly Bourbon Shenanigans. Blind Whiskey Reviews, John. Yeah. Another fellow Chrome Dome. Yeah. By the way, I'm going to have Blind Whiskey Reviews on my channel, as well as in March in Bourbon Month.
Sorry.
Don't get me laughing, because I don't be coughing.
It would be such a shame if I spilled some of it.
Well, you can always pour some more.
Well, yeah. Well, I got to wear these jeans on the plane tomorrow, and I don't want to smell like booze. At least not getting on the plane. I'm all right smelling like booze on the plane.
Man, now I lost my train of thought.
That's what it's about.
I can't remember.
Sorry.
I was talking about.
So you were talking about the dinner, and then Roy, and then you were naming a bunch of people.
Anyway,
yeah.
So, there's a lot of time between now and then. But to host a big event takes a lot of work. What Scotch Test Dummies did, and what the Vault did, and the Scotch 4 Dummies did, it takes a lot of work. Just planning this month out and getting guests on, doing meetups, and want to plan on doing it for March, it takes a lot of work and coordination of time and schedules and everything else.
Yep.
And sort of, moving things around or whatever. So I've already at the venue. That'll be fine. It'll just be arranging for people to show up. So that'll be okay. But anyway, that's
getting the venue is definitely like one of the harder parts for sure. Making sure you can book it, because now that you have that, you can start planning with some solid base to
I'll cater everything. Everything will be to be catered. Well, I already have the place. I'm not gonna say the name of the place, but I already have the place. It's a place I absolutely adore.
Yeah,
I really, really love. So, but anyway, that's months down the road.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Yeah. Now I know what I was saying. So there are some whiskey tubers that have a heavier bourbon influence. Some 100% bourbon,
right?
Such as my Bourbon Night.
Yes, it's Bourbon Night.
It's Bourbon Night.
Yep, Chad and Sarah. Yeah.
So they're 100% bourbon, and does my Bourbon Journey do anything other than bourbons?
I don't believe so. I think last time I was talking to him, I think he had some interest in a couple of other things, but I mean, my Bourbon Journey, it's going to be bourbon, or at least bourbon centric.
So if I could only do one whiskey on a channel, it would probably be peated whiskeys.
Peated whiskeys, yeah.
And probably less than 10% of what I do is bourbons. I like bourbons, but for me, it's like it's when I got a sweet tooth, when I'm in the mood, and all that. But once it gets warmer, and particularly in California, I'm not even doing that many peated either. I'm looking for something, a lighter. So and I've asked you this before, but so you're mostly a bourbon guy. You like the bourbon guy.
So that's I get this question a lot, believe it or not, which is kind of strange.
Well, you are known as bookers, and you have bookers on the back.
I guess that's a good point.
I screwed up.
I did too.
I didn't bring a challenge coin.
I didn't bring. I was hoping. I literally had it on a sticky note on the door, and I went out a different door that morning. And I was gonna bring your coin, and I was totally gonna pull it out and just be like.
And now that I think of it, I may actually have some in my luggage.
You can't go look now.
Whatever. Okay. I should have brought your coin.
If I lose. All right.
Whisky Dick says, Erik Wait, you are handsome.
I feel a little slighted there, Rob. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but
I look great through the bottom of a whiskey glass.
Right.
Anyway,
so here's the thing. When I started out the channel, I started with bourbon because it's cheaper. because I live in the United States.
Right.
And building the channel up to a point where the channel can support buying
And access
whiskeys.
to you, better access.
That
as well.
too, for sure. But I mean, there's cheap scotches, but consistently you can find cheap bourbons, right?
Right.
So that's why I started with that, and then it just so happened that Booker's became a thing. So now that's a built-in 4 episodes at least a month, in a year.
Well, there's also I don't know if you thought Bill Booker. You got the B thing going on there as well.
A little alliteration.
Yeah.
Yes. So that definitely helps. But overall, like, I love all whiskeys. I really do. And even though I give Canadian whiskeys crap sometimes, I've found some good Canadian whiskeys.
The Laphroaig Castering. I would eat a live hamster. I would eat a live hamster for a bottle of the Laphroaig Castering. I tasted it once, and it's freaking awesome. It's great.
I would love to see that. So I was just thinking about it. I'm like, is there a way to send you a package where you have to eat a live hamster before you get the interpack? Anyway, so I will review everything, and I genuinely try not to play favorites, but it's just cheaper to drink bourbon. Nowadays, I can buy more things that I'm interested in, which is usually going to be like a scotch, or actually, like, so the video coming out tomorrow is on Amrit Fusion.
Oh,
and
nice.
I don't have a bottle of it. Never mind. Not here, obviously. Really, really good. It got 97 points in.
Son of a gun. I have 4 bottles of the Amrit Intermediate Sherry Cask.
Oh.
If I'd known, I would have brought that one and given you a bottle. Dude, so I'm pissing people off here. So there are several stores that got 2 bottles each, $50 a bottle.
Oh, wow.
Once those 2 bottles were gone, it went to $120 a bottle.
Holy crap.
So I ran around and bought them all.
So you got 4 of them.
Yeah, so a bunch
That's
of
crazy.
And
is it really good?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah.
Well, the Fusion, it was 97 points out of, Jim, I'm blanking on his last name, Jim Murray, his Whiskey Bible, whatever. It was 97 points, which, I mean, no matter who you are, if it's rated that high, it's going to be a good drink.
Right. Yeah.
And I got to agree. I literally say in the video, I'm like, this is worth every point.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad you did, because I love that one. And that one made actually my top 10.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. No, go-tos. That made my go-tos.
So it wasn't Amrit Fusion for $50. It was, what was the one you said? The sherry?
No, it was the intermediate sherry cask. So the intermediate sherry is they put it bourbon and then sherry cask.
Yeah. And
then back to a bourbon cask, which is a little weird.
That's a little crazy. Yeah,
it's a little weird, but it is a sherry bomb.
Yeah.
And absolutely fantastic. So I think actually it was originally, a like you can get it at the airport kind of a deal.
Oh, what do you call it? Duty free.
Duty free.
Yes.
Yeah. Duty.
I was like tax free.
Well, duty free. I think is when a baby doesn't have diapers, it's duty free.
I knew. I was wondering how long we were going to get before the terrible jokes started. So yes.
But anyway, I'm really glad you're trying that, because that one is, you don't expect it. You don't expect it. You're like, damn.
Yeah. Well, so as I've mentioned a million times, I'm a manager, and I have a whole bunch of software engineers that work under me. And people that watch the video tomorrow are going to rehear this story, but oh well. So one of my employees had a bunch of people out to my house for kind of like a Christmas party, and I always, how like general etiquette would be, you always bring something, right, when you come. Or if, somebody's hosting a dinner, maybe you bring an appetizer, or you bring at least a bottle of wine, something like that. I always tell people don't bring anything, right, because it's just, in my mind, I hate that rule. I get why it exists, but I just hate it.
Right. So, as some sort of obligation.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I tell people don't bring anything. But people insisted, so I said, if you feel the need, my wife loves Cabernet Sauvignon. Okay. So I was like, bring anything that you want. It'll be like $12, and that's totally fair.
It's funny, if I go to an event, people go, don't bring anything. Eric's coming. Erik brings the good stuff, and I bring my own stemware. I have a huge collection of stemware, so I bring my own stemware. I bring all the nice bottles.
We're gonna have to talk wine glasses in a minute.
Okay,
I'm curious about something. So anyway, a bunch of people, pretty much everybody brought Cabernet Sauvignon, and a couple people brought like gift cards for my kids and stuff so that they could buy something. And one of the people, who's kind of like my second in command, she brought me the bottle of Amrit Fusion. Which is quite a bit more than a $12 bottle of red wine, and so
and yet it's still under 100 in most markets.
I think it's about 60 or so.
Yeah,
near me, so,
and that's amazing.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised that she did that. But either way, I told her, I was like, well, first things first, you and I need to have a dram. And because I'm not taking this bottle and then keeping it all for myself.
Right.
I'll keep all but one dram for myself, but so we opened it up. She does like whiskey. Drank it, and I was like blown away. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna, let's see. It's end of January. It's coming out tomorrow. Tomorrow's 31st, right? So
Tomorrow's the 1st.
Tomorrow's the 1st, February 1st.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Island month starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
Dean D says, "Do you have the neat glass? I see it, but can't find a review of it anywhere." What's the neat glass?
So Dean, you're gonna see that on my channel probably within a month. So,
what's the neat glass?
So it's a weird shaped glass. It's wide on the bottom, and then it narrows, similar to this, but then it kind of sticks back out along the top. It's almost like a weird tulip, but like squeezed. Actually, it would be like if you took this and just squeezed it really hard right here.
Okay.
So
I've seen one of those, and I'm trying to remember who I've seen use one. But anyway.
Well, anyway, I'm more just saying that like I told her I was going to review it pretty soon, and I'm happy I got it up this quick.
Cool.
But as far as glasses go, one of my biggest videos is on whiskey glasses. And I find it funny because the video itself compared to nowadays is like super low quality, but people want to know about whiskey glasses. So I'm going to be doing another video, kind of like an updated video of that, probably within a couple of weeks here.
Okay, cool.
I have a few glasses actually they're sitting in my office right now.
So did you get those just like off of Amazon or something like that?
I mean, they're all totally attainable. But I wanted to talk about things that people actually might find themselves wanting to buy.
So is that something you would use in casual drinking, or do you think it was just in terms of testing things out?
So it would be the same reason that you drink out of a Glencairn instead of like a tumbler. It's if you're trying to evaluate something.
Right. 'Cause I actually don't, on a normal basis, I don't drink out of these.
That's funny. I almost exclusively drink out of these, but if I'm drinking, it's usually for an episode.
So I mean, particularly if it's cask strength, California's warm. I like a lower temperature. I find it more refreshing than a warm milk, room temperature beverage.
So you usually add ice or something?
Yeah, so I actually like to add a couple ice cubes. So I like to put a tumbler. I like the weight of the Riedel. Now, if I was in Glasgow and it was cold, or or in Chicago, where it's nut freezing cold over there, okay, I would probably be fine just like this one-on-one pot. But California is generally warm, so I like to drop the temperature, and I also find the experience of it evolving in your mouth as it assumes the temperature of your mouth, that it goes through its own evolution that way. The only challenge is you got to drink it before it gets too watered down.
That's true.
Which means you're drinking it pretty quick.
If you, as far as whiskey, the rocks go, if you load like 10 rocks into a glass, it'll actually get cold enough to make a difference. I find that I'm cool with a chilled glass of whiskey. I don't love watering it down, unless if I'm drinking for a review. Like I like to drink everything cold. I like to drink everything with a couple drops of water, and I love to drink it neat. And that's usually the three ways I try it before I do a review.
Right.
As far as whiskey stones go, that I found that to be the best way to chill a whiskey somewhat without watering it down.
Right.
But you have to use a ton of them, otherwise it doesn't get
right. But I find this is kind of where on the bourbons, in terms, I like a cask strength bourbon with ice.
Yeah,
the ice brings down the ABV a little bit, and it's dropping the temperature seems to intensify the vanilla notes. It seems to, make it more like I get more of a dessert vanilla French vanilla ice cream thing.
Sorry. So, Scott's heading out, so I'm just.
Was Scott from Scotch Test Dummies?
I'm not sure. I just see somebody saying goodnight, Scott. So.
Okay.
Oh, and yeah, it's Scott. It's STDs. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, good night. Thank you very much for tuning in. Greatly. Rob Davey. There's another new name in there. Hoyt Hemphill is in the house. You probably tuned in earlier.
Oh, that's interesting.
To see if there's any other new names in here.
Somebody was just saying that they read an article about women's major turnoff for whiskey is, and I've seen this as well, that they tend to have a better sense of smell, and the way the whiskey glasses do it concentrates it a little bit too much for them. I think that's interesting, and obviously there's plenty of women that drink plenty of whiskey,
right?
But in general, I would not think it's a far reach to say that women tend not to drink as much whiskey as men.
Right.
That would be interesting to know if that was actually part of the reason. I don't really think
so. One of the things I know, particularly in the sommelier world, is they also seem to, I find in general, better at descripting things, particularly in the wine world. And I think it's because they, generally speaking, I don't want to stereotype. They spend more time in the kitchen. They spend more time paying attention to spice. They spend more time paying attention to flowers and perfumes than guys do. So even if they don't have a biological greater sense of smell, they're just more tended to pay more attention.
Attuned to it, yeah.
Yeah, they just pay better attention to it.
Yeah. Well, so not that pregnant women should be drinking.
No.
But I do know that that's a very typical thing for pregnant women to undergo is a better sense of smell or more sensitive sense of smell. Anyway, maybe it's not necessarily better. But I wonder if there's something to that.
I've actually found so I mean, in terms of sitting in a class and preparing for exams, and I would really tune in to their descriptors. I just found they were really, really good at describing things.
Interesting. Yeah.
I sort of have a limited vocabulary, so I kind of use the same, not linguistically, just in terms of what I use for wines and whiskeys. So I kind of use the same notes all the same time.
Yeah.
And they can get detailed about what flowers and what teas and spices and stuff like that. It's just a matter of spending more time studying on it.
Yeah. Whiskey. Well, we should dig into the Laphroaig, by the way.
I was just say, well, you already got through his already.
Oh yeah, no, a long time ago. And I actually thought I was drinking slow.
I'm a fairly slow drinker.
I was like balancing on my head.
I'm a fairly slow drinker.
Well, why don't I pour a little bit more? No, don't hurry through it. By all means, we got quite a while. So depending on how the night goes, there's a place I think would be fun to go. Depends on how tired you are. So
tonight. Okay.
It's completely up to you. We certainly don't have to.
Well, it's a whiskey bar.
Yeah, exactly.
How late are they open?
Well, so is it called the Whiskey Bar? I think so, or Whiskey House.
Okay.
So they're about a half hour from here.
Where are they at? What town?
It's in downtown San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe not even quite a half hour, but either way, they. I haven't checked up on them, but when I went there last time I was out here I did like a quick little meetup there. They were number 2 in the world for collections of whiskey.
Right. You talked about this on your channel, right? Yes. I remember that. Okay.
Yep. And as of, I believe, it probably would have been 2 days ago, they had Guinness Book of World Records out to check them out to see if they could be number 1.
It would probably be better if we took Uber if we did go.
Well, yes, of course. I completely concur.
Yeah.
Anyway, they mentioned that they had enough bottles to get that status because they said that they had 3,300 bottles of whiskey. And apparently that's the biggest collection in the world. And they were like, we have all the bottles, but in order to be in the book, we have to have them on display. And so they're like, we're going to take down some of this other stuff and put more shelving up just to get that thing.
That'd be cool to see.
I think it would be very cool. Even if you and I don't go tonight, you should make it a point while you're out here to go check it out.
So are you flying out tomorrow morning or are you working tomorrow?
I am working tomorrow morning for probably about 2 or 3 hours, and then I'm heading out. I'm going to leave the office at like 10.
And you want to go out and hit a bar tonight?
Well, it's funny because everybody at my work knows that we were going to do this tonight.
Oh, okay.
And like I've just been talking about it. I'm super excited, actually. I know Erik was talking about it at the beginning, but like I've been so hyped about doing this too. And they were all, I even said to them, I'm like, even if I have to come into work tomorrow, it's only for a couple hours, and then I can go veg on a plane.
Well, you can always just just slam a bunch of glasses of coffee and get rewired that way.
Yeah. Well, I had some Starbucks about an hour and a half ago. Let's see. What do we got going on?
Erik is definitely not down. Okay.
Yeah, I can tell.
Not down on what?
He's saying you're definitely not up for going.
I'm
also totally fine with it. It was more I wanted to let you know that it was there because I know you said you haven't been out here in a while.
I kind of am. I'm here for the whole weekend. I fly back on Sunday. There's no reason not to go. I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to drive. So, for those who know, I spent 20 years in federal law enforcement, and I worked down here. I would not want to be behind bars and go, "Hey, it's Erik. We got Erik in here. What are you doing here, man?"
Yeah, that's funny. You totally look like a cop. So So anyway, either way, at some point in your life, you should make it out there.
Cool.
Because the building itself is a little underwhelming as far as it's not huge inside, but when you look at all the walls, I got to give them some credit. They gave a lot of thought to their organization, which you got to assume that they would with that many bottles. You just kind of look around, and funny thing, so inside, way up high, like almost as if you would never touch it, they have all the pappies. Oh. And it's like, I can't imagine that people don't come in there and ask for pappy, fairly often. And it's just weird to me because it's like way up high, you can't even get to it. But like, I also was just like, all right, well, I wonder if they have like Cutty Sark. You know,
something cheap.
You're right. And I look around, I'm like, there it is. And there's some weird, like, limited release.
What's that weird ass Canadian whiskey?
Canadian Mist? Or, is it? I mean, weird ass, I'm not sure.
No, I mean
like
cheap.
Lot 40 or.
No, the real.
Seagram? Well, Seagram 7.
The sort of bottom of the barrel, the cheapest Canadian whiskey. Black Velvet?
Oh, the one that man, I did actually find that while I was there, and they had 4 of them, 4 different ones, and 2 of them are flavored and 2 of them are not flavored.
So I'm here for the weekend. There's actually some distilleries here. There's a San Diego distillery. Some of them are producing rum and vodka and whatever, but I'm actually planning on visiting a couple of distilleries this weekend.
Cool.
Here, and I'll do a video and I'll post them whenever we get around to it.
I have a name of 2 distilleries that are really close to here that a guy at the bartender at the bar I went to a few nights ago, I was telling him what I do, and he was like, "Oh, these places are like practically walking distance from here."
Right.
So I'll give you the names of those places.
So Steve A says that's what Uber is for. Yeah. Exactly. There really is a really cool thing called Uber. I
He said he would Uber.
I tend to use a cab more. I've never used Uber.
Oh,
I've never used Uber. Sorry. And then Kilojolt says, keep cheap bottom shelf, Erik Wait. So many.
You're probably right, Sylv.
And it looks like Vito, it took off. Hey, Vito, thank you very much for tuning in. Yeah. If you guys haven't checked out Cask Strength, check them out. They're recently, but don't watch their most recent live stream.
It was actually on Cask Strength Whiskey, right?
Yeah, and they lost connection like every 15 minutes brutal. Or something. Yeah. And they kept on going. They kept going the whole time, but it was just like, the circle of death just kept coming up.
So I'm not sure if they do this, but they should totally be recording that as a podcast as well. I don't know if they. I mean, there's no reason that they shouldn't, right?
Right. Yeah. They could do double duty and bring more attention to it. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing something similar to that, just because if nothing else, I've thought that podcasting would just be fun. It's not as easy to keep up with, and the last thing I want to do is necessarily like basically post the audio from my episodes. So I would have to do more work. Right. Which I'm already doing 2 episodes a week and working full-time job with wife and kids and house responsibility. Like, it's too much.
Yeah. So one of the things. So actually, it's funny because there's some non-whiskey people that I follow. I follow Gary Vaynerchuk. And I've been following him since 2006. Casey Neistat and a bunch of others, and to get inspired by them. And Gary was talking about podcasting. And I was kind of like, that seems a little old school. It's like going back to vlogging. Because I started off as a wine vlogger before YouTube had its capabilities. And what I did with my YouTube channel was just create slideshows that I then put in my vlog, my vlog with a blog.
Oh, so you were a blogger, not a vlogger.
Yeah, I was a blog.
Okay.
Because you could only do 10 minutes.
Right.
Is the maximum you could do, and the quality wasn't that great.
Yeah.
So, but anyway. So I think there is a niche, and I think there is a use for podcasters. My only thing for me personally is I listen to podcasts on the road when I drove, but now I'm only 10 minutes from my office, and so I'm not listening to them.
So it depends on what kind of podcast you want to do. For example, so like most of the podcasts I listen to, there's a few that I listen to where literally the episodes are like 3 hours long. And then there's other podcasts I listen to where the episodes are 7 minutes long or 5 minutes long.
Right.
That's probably what I would do because I personally find those way more consumable. And I haven't looked into like the monetization of podcasts or if it's even really worth it. But
so here's the funny thing. Casey Neistat, who is, I mean, he's got millions of followers and one of the best videographers I've ever seen. He also has a vlog. In fact, I was listening to it on the airplane on the way over here, and he just as I was over here, he mentioned the company that they use, and they said, and I'd have to go back and find out. I don't know what the company is. I can tell you later. But he actually talking about that very thing about monetization.
Right.
So his podcast is him and his wife called therapy, couples therapy.
Okay.
So it's more about talking about the relationship than what he normally does. But I think there's a place there for whiskey podcasts.
Yeah.
I don't know how many are out there.
Well, I know Mark Gillespie, obviously.
Right.
You know, he's got the big one. Can't even believe it. He's up to
he's got
like
a great
700
voice.
or even 800 videos at this point.
He's got a great. He's got a really good voice.
You know, it's funny though. So I always listen to his stuff on 2 times speed. So because he talks so slow,
right.
But more to the point is that I forget that I have that setting because like I can set it per podcast.
Right.
So occasionally something will get screwed up with my settings, and I'll hear him, and I'll be like, "Oh my god, that's what his voice actually sounds like."
Right, because you're so used to listening to it fast.
Right, and I met him in person about a year ago.
Oh, cool.
So there's a thing at Julio's Liquors in Massachusetts.
Because he's been on Scotch Test Dummies. I've seen him on there as well.
Has he been? Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. Very recently, actually. Yeah. So anyway, there's this thing in Massachusetts called Go Whiskey Weekend, and it's at Julio's Liquors, and they have, I think this year they're going to have over 700 expressions of whiskey with a number of different representatives. It's this huge event, and
I don't think I could drink that many.
Well, you don't know until you try.
I wanted to give it a go.
Now you talk about Uber.
So I think you'd probably need an ambulance.
So I'm going to be going to that this year. It's
cool.
It's February 24th. But anyway, last year I went to the one too. And by the way, I have I think 10 people this year coming with me, and they're all wearing this shirt.
Oh, awesome.
Which last year I had like 7.
Where's my shirt? Hello, where's my shirt?
Didn't even think about it.
I sent him a coin.
Well, see, I'm on your podcast. Where's your shirt? And where's my shirt?
I don't have a shirt. I don't have a shirt. So Kilojolt asked, do you and Bill currently have a favorite sherry bomb whiskey? If so, what is it? I would probably lean towards a Glendronach myself, 21 maybe, but I don't drink a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, I have not had as many scotches as I probably should have at this point. My answer's kind of lame. Yeah, actually, I'm not even going to give my answer because I don't think I have a very good answer. I'm thinking about all the sherried whiskeys I've had, and none of them are really anything special. They're more like entry level kind of stuff, so I wouldn't even call any of them sherry.
Well, my first love was the Macallan 12 with the sherry forward whiskey.
Right. So like the one that came immediately to mind was Glenmorangie did sherry cask finish.
Okay.
And I reviewed it on the channel, and it was exceedingly sherry, and I liked it a lot. But I also realized that that's probably still pretty entry level.
Right.
So until I had more, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
but
so
I'd go with that, I guess.
So I mean, I really like the Emerald Intermediate Sherry Cask. It is a sherry bomb. So how familiar are you with Oban?
Very.
Oban. Okay.
So
I've actually found I did a side by side with Oban, a distiller's edition with the Emerald. If you could do them side by side, they're comparable.
Really,
you could. Emerald doesn't quite have the prolonged development. It's more in your face than Oban, but stylistically, I think if you're tasted blind, you could confuse an Emerald fusion with an Oban because it has that really well integrated smoke and that character to it. But anyway, so sherry bombs. Yeah, I don't drink a lot of sherry bombs. I would ask Scott from Scott this time. He's more of a sherry guy.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas I'm more of a Pete guy.
Yeah, like Bart. Yeah,
but see,
Bart loves young Pete.
So
is that what he says? He loves a young Pete.
But to tell you the truth, so from what I'm doing, so I started in whiskeys in 2016, and I'm approaching whiskey the same way I approached wine, which is country by country, region by region, producer by producer. And so, for example, so the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, fantastic whiskeys, really like them. Yeah, they're expensive. But I haven't joined any club or any other club because I'm studying producers. Now, I figure there's only 130 or so distilleries. Within 2 years, I could easily have had everything from every one of them.
Yeah.
And been to almost all of them. So at that point, I've kind of covered all the bases. And then I can kind of start, doing it. And I've been doing world whiskeys. Whether you're talking about Japan, done a bunch of Japan. Yeah. Recently, I did one from Tasmania. I want to do the Puni from Italy.
What's it called? The Lark?
Larks.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Dude, if you're ever in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's super sweet. Yeah. Super sweet, but yeah, it's freaking killer. But it's almost impossible to get.
Yeah. I mean, sweet whiskey's great because daily sippers for me tend to be fruitier, lighter, sweeter.
Right.
I mean, this is fantastic. I love this when I have it.
Right.
But when I'm like just kind of staring at my bar and I'm like, what do I want to drink? Usually ends up being, like you said, a bourbon or a lighter scotch.
Right.
So, way more into that.
Well, there's some. For me, it's always about the occasion. If it's wine, it's about what I'm eating, what I'm doing, and so forth. what's the temperature? What's the weather like? What's there's all that kind of stuff. If I want a whiskey that I don't have to think about because I'm watching a movie, I'm reading a book, there's some whiskeys that are almost intellectually a distraction. Everybody and everything in the room disappears, and all you can think about is what's in this glass.
You mean like a cask strength?
Yeah.
Those are a distraction if nothing else.
But there's something that's so ultra complex. So when I was at the whiskey fest, and I got handed a glass of the Glengoyne 21, I was like, holy cow, this is not a whiskey convention whiskey. Right. This is something you sit by yourself and meditate on.
Well, that's one of the things I always say on my live streams. Like, I never give nosing and tasting notes, really, unless I really am picking something up. Right. Just never find it to be the right environment for me personally to pick stuff out. Like, obviously, you and I were nosing and sipping, and it's like we can pick out some things obviously, like cigar ash in a peated whiskey. There's a huge shock, but if I'm having something lighter and I'm like, all right, citrus, I might not be able to pick out whether that's a lemon or an orange or something else, I have a lot more trouble in live streams picking out stuff. So like you said, when you're in an environment where there's a lot of noise or a lot of distraction, it's way harder. Sure.
So in case you're wondering, this is the Lagavulin Jazz. This, if you turn in late, this is balled at 57.6% alcohol by volume. If you've had the Lagavulin 12, just turn up the volume on a Lagavulin 12. Generally speaking, yeah, sure, you might find some exceptions here and there, but my impression, because I recently actually did a recording with the whiskey friend Alan, and we were doing the whiskey 12. I would say it's similar in profile and character, but intensified, and that's how I would describe that. We still haven't gotten to the Laphroaig yet.
I know. I'm waiting for you to.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to the Laphroaig that one. So let me finish what I've got a little bit in this one, and then we'll move on to that one.
So I do want to say hi to the Spirit Monkey. So Spirit Monkey is one of my favorite commenters. And I have a lot of people who post legitimately, what do you want to call it, like quality comments. Right. Spirit Monkey makes me laugh most of the times because he always refers to himself in the third person.
How can he not make you laugh? He's the Spirit Monkey.
Exactly, right. And I'll post a video and he'll be like, the Spirit Monkey approves of this video, or like the Spirit Monkey wonders what happened to your glass after the video, whatever. Like, it's always something fairly funny. Right. He's just got a good sense of humor.
Well, that's a great
of course,
name.
He pops in. The Spirit Monkey is present, which, as you guys all know, whenever I pop into a chat, I always say I have arrived. So it's just
attention, ladies and gentlemen, the Spirit Monkey is now present.
So, all right. So finish your drink because I'm dying to get into this.
Okay. Then we'll get into the Laphroaig. Yeah. Well, the nice thing is we have been letting it air a little bit. And if you can see the color, the light in here is not the greatest. It's a little darker. It's a little. Whereas the Lagavulin was a little lighter.
Very clear. Although, let's see. No, it doesn't. I was hoping to kind of give you a little orange tinge, make you look a little bit more like our president.
We haven't gotten to it. My one concern about this is my experience with the regular Laphroaig 10. It's just almost pure ash. Someone put two eyes in my name, but Steve
A. Spirit Monkey is flattered.
Lagavulin 12 is already pretty pumped up. You're saying more so? Yes. And this is the Jazz, and I have an extra bottle of this one. Ooh. But so I'm hoping this is better than my previous experience of a neck pour.
There's a third floor.
I hope they're not complaining about us, but whatever.
No, they're not at all.
They
probably just got here. Yeah.
But that's what I live in an apartment complex, and I got to deal with that. They have children up above me, so I got to deal all the time. But anyway,
so it's your jazz fingers.
I don't know what jazz
hands. He's saying
jazz. Is that what jazz hands is?
Yeah.
Hi. Man,
that's different.
San Francisco jazz hands. I know that's a whole other thing. So. And this is, and in case you didn't see it earlier, and if you didn't tune earlier, it comes in a bag. So the official comes in a green bag. You'll see a review of this later, the official later on, part of Islay month. This is where the Jazz comes on. And it's got a guy playing a saxophone and so forth. But anyway, I think it's quite appropriate we're in the contemporary jazz capital of San Diego.
Yeah, Erik was mentioning that when I first showed up. It seems like a really appropriate thing to bring. Right, it was a good call. Yeah.
So this is back in the 80s.
Hold on. Stop.
Go ahead.
Finish your drink.
Okay. So back in the 80s.
They're giving you a lot of credit. They're saying stop stalling and drink. So.
So back in the 80s.
That's Castering.
Back in the 80s, I was stationed here at Camp Pendleton when I was in the Marine Corps. I was from 85 to 89. Mm-hmm. This is before internet, before any of that. And there was a jazz radio station here, and there was this guy. I don't know if he's still alive. His name was Art Good. Mm-hmm. This is Lights Out Jazz. This is Art Good coming to you, you know. And anyway, so a buddy of mine, who I'm still somewhat connected with, he lives down in Florida. He got me into jazz. Mm-hmm. He got me into other things, which thankfully we never got caught and never got arrested. we're both MPs, military police in the Marine Corps.
Oh, wow.
But anyway.
You were an MP?
Oh, yeah.
So you could totally kick my ass.
Please. I could write you a ticket and fill out a report. So that's what, I started with military police and then I got into federal law enforcement for 20 years. Anyway, so I got into contemporary. I'm very eclectic in wines, whiskeys, and music.
Okay.
The only music.
So you're a man of the arts.
The only music I don't particularly care for rap. Mm-hmm. I like, and there's some, if the country music complains too much, then I don't like it. Mm-hmm. But I'm a big Johnny Cash fan. Mm-hmm. But music, movies, whiskeys, wines, very, very, very eclectic. I like a little bit of everything. Anyway, but where I got into jazz was here because there was this radio station, Lights Out Jazz. Now with the internet and everything else, who needs to listen to radio? You can catch anything anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm listening.
Multi-Man Cave said, "What is?"
No, I think they might have been asking.
Say again, what Lagavulin are they drinking? We're drinking
the jazz.
The jazz. This is a distillery exclusive. So you're not gonna. You could probably Google it. There's some on the retail on the secondary market. But this is the Lagavulin Jazz. I brought this back from Islay when I visited. This was bought in 2017.
Outlaw country. So
in September. So May is the Fishel, the Festival of the Island, and in September, in June 2nd is Ardbeg Day, and then in September they have the Jazz Festival on the island. I'm gonna burp here in just a minute.
Oh, while you're doing that.
Yeah, while I'm doing that. So anyway, so they have a jazz festival, and so this was. Excuse me.
See, I was gonna give you a graceful out while you do that. I was trying to jump in.
Well, Quig and I, we don't mind burping. We don't care.
No,
if we're gonna get him take a piss, whatever.
Burping's fine. Taking a Quig. Yeah.
Anyway, so this is from the jazz festival. So if you were on Islay in September, that's what you would go check out. Go check out the jazz festival, and that's what that's from. And I brought back two of those from the distillery.
So here's a question for you. And I have an opinion.
I'm going to get some water. Hold on, just
perfect. All right. So, well, then I'll talk to the audience for a second.
Okay.
So, there was something I was going to bring up. Well,
about burping or jazz?
Yeah. Well, no. I was going to jump in when you were getting ready to burp with something. Doesn't matter. Well, so for any of you guys, since you were talking about radio, is anybody familiar with Rabbit from the Vietnam War? Does that make any sense to you? Obviously, I was not alive for the Vietnam War. He was this.
I was, but I was in diapers.
There was this guy. He went by the name of Rabbit. I believe that was the full name. I don't think there was anything else to it. And he was a soldier of some sort, but I think he was, in one way or another, he would go around. He would hijack airwaves and he would broadcast. And he would play stuff that the soldiers would really like. And obviously, you could only get to it if you could only listen to it if you were close enough. But he would he would legitimately go into whorehouses and just kind of reserve a room and do pirate radio. And this was his thing. Wow. And there's a bunch of tapes that I remember listening to a long time ago when I was listening to Opie and Anthony, and they got their hands on some of these tapes and they would play them. And it was actually really entertaining. He'd be kind of speaking a little soft because he didn't want to give away where he was.
Right.
And he's like, "Hey everybody, this is Rabbit. I'm here in wherever, and I just want to play a little music for you." And he put on whatever music he was going to do. But it was such a cool concept to me to have pirate radio, and I really miss those days of, not that I was alive for that, but I certainly was alive for DJs and them actually being able to have a personality. Right. And I miss that everything is just so milquetoast now. It's brutal. Everything's automated. They pick the songs for you. You got to hit the post. You don't talk over the song. You don't do anything. It's just, all that stuff just sucks.
When I was a kid in the Bay Area, it was Dr. Donald D. Johnson, I think was his name.
Okay.
But yeah, that was on Radio of the Day, and they would get records to play. If they spent more time on it, it would come with a little extra package of a little
Right.
nose candy.
Yeah, you know what? It helps.
But but that was back in the day where if you wanted to listen to a song and you didn't have the album, you would call in and make a request to play a song. Who in the hell does any song you want to hear now? You just go into YouTube or whatever else and play it. It's out there.
It's a good point. Actually, I remember as a kid. So you mentioned that you didn't like rap, and typically I'm not a big fan either.
Right.
But when I was a kid, like a young kid, so I was definitely less than 14 because I was living in a specific house. I think I was like 9. Sir Mix-a-Lot's "Baby Got Back." I'm sure you've heard this song. If I played it, you would probably recognize it. I used to call the radio station every single day and request that song. And I would just hang on the phone while it was ringing and, like request a song, and I would just hang out and listen and wait for it to come on, and a lot of times it didn't.
Right.
But I just remember that one particular song, "Baby Got Back," which is just kind of a joke. It's a guy singing about women with big asses. So
Donner Pass whiskey is in the house. So
Donner
Pass is somewhat near like the Sierra foothills in terms of location. And in case you guys didn't know, it's named after the Donner Party. Mm-hmm. Basically, people coming out to California, they didn't plan really well. They were there in winter, and they ended up becoming cannibals.
Yep.
Anyway, so that's the Donner Party.
And I cannot lie.
And there's a place there. There's a place there called Donner Pass. Yeah. Anyway, so he's a fellow Californian. So welcome. Bill likes big butts.
Well, that's from that song.
Okay.
So I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Okay, I've heard that.
Yes,
okay, definitely heard that one.
I know every word of that song. Okay.
Anyway, so now we're moving on to Laphroaig 10 cask strength. And I'm glad we poured it early.
Yeah, it's had a little time. Well, I find that for me personally, nosing notes generally are easier to pick out as soon as I pour.
Right.
Because it's a little stronger.
Right.
You've got a better nose than I do, without a doubt.
Or
trained, yeah. That's
right.
a better way to go. So you may have a differing opinion. When I'm usually writing my initial notes, I pour and then I nose.
Right.
If I let it sit out, I actually, it's funny. We all have those coins, right? And we sell the coins, and they're a good way to just, help fund the channel. So, by the way, do you still have any coins? You must have some.
I've got about 40 or so.
Yeah. Do you have a link in your description where people can try to get to you?
If people went through, if they send me email, erikwait@yahoo.com.
Right.
And depending on where you're at, whether in the United States, Canada, or U.S., shipping costs more for Canada and the U.S. I can send you one. I'm actually kind of somewhat thinking about keeping what I've got left in reserve and almost do. When the channel gets bigger, and I have a website, is go, here's 40 or 30 or I ever got the originals. Those will go boom, and then I already have a design for a second edition.
Yep, me too.
And that'll be slightly different.
Yeah.
So I'm actually almost sort of holding on to them as a collector's item.
Okay.
But what I do when I do send them out, I send one of my calling cards out with it. It has my logo, which is designed by Roy Aquavite, and I autograph it and all that kind of thing. But I'm not a big hurry to sell them.
Okay.
But if the people want one, I'll sell them. I've given away probably 10 or 15 of them.
Yeah, you sent me one. I sent you one.
Yeah.
Either way, we both sell coins. If you want one, you can go to erikwait@yahoo.com. He may or may not sell you one. Sounds like he wants to keep them.
Right.
I'll sell you one.
And mine are made from genuine artificial gold.
Yeah.
So they may become the next.
I like your coins a lot. Yeah, right. You hold on to it. It's worth a quarter more than it was 20 years ago.
So something I actually said, I just sent an email to Rob, Whiskey in the Six.
Yeah.
And you can also get custom hockey pucks. Now, it wouldn't make sense for me to make a hockey puck.
Totally would for him.
But it would for him.
Yeah.
So Whiskey in the Six hockey pucks, I think would be.
He should get some. He should get some like. Actually, I guess you don't really have anything for kickboxing. I know he's a kickboxer.
Right.
But I was just thinking, I'm like boxing gloves with like a big 6 on it. That'd be great. Just the last thing you want to see before.
So how you do? So
yeah.
So people, when I talk about being a sommelier and so forth, people and doing blind tasting, and I've had people give me stuff, and I just go boom, boom, boom. This is what it is, and people are like, "Holy cow! How do you do that? You must have a great nose, a great palate." No, it's just trained.
Yeah.
And I've been trained by the best. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the best. I have friends who are advanced sommeliers, master sommeliers. One of my really good friends, who's an advanced sommelier, he's been preparing for the master sommeliers. He just got hired, and if you guys probably can know what this is, he's now working for Robert Parker, who is like the top wine critic in the world.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So he's working for the Whiskey Advocate. Yeah, the guy is just he's a great person. Not just in terms of his ability, he's just a great person. Anyway, Those guys made me look like a freaking amateur. But it's more about training than it is some sort of natural ability.
Okay.
I spend time in it. And being trained people who are really good at it.
I've definitely gotten better at nosing whiskey since I originally started, of course, as you would expect. But
you're a great drinker. I'm more of a whiskey and wine drinker.
I am a great drinker. I am also 6'3" and about 240 pounds. So that helps.
I hate to say this, but I weigh more than you. I'm many inches shorter than you are.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm dense.
So how you doing on this one?
What I'm picking out after a couple of Lagavulins, it's a little duller, but I'm getting orange and I'm getting a little chocolate.
Okay.
And not very heavy on the smoke.
It's not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I thought I was expecting a smack in the head.
Yeah, me too. I mean, there's definitely some peat in there, but it's not the forefront. To me, the forefront is more that orange.
I'm gonna put. I'll put some water in a second.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea.
Let's try it on the palate.
Sure.
Wow, it's powerful.
Yeah,
but it doesn't have like a painful bite.
Right. Well,
I mean, it's powerful.
Once it hits your throat, though. At least for me.
And of course, we've already been drinking some pretty high ABV whiskey before that.
But so what is this?
Is
this 50 or? So this is 58%.
58. So it's just a little bit higher. This is 57 something. Just a little bit higher than that one.
I will say, usually when I drink Booker's, I almost always have to just wait a second before I talk. Give my throat a second.
Because it goes.
Yeah, it totally does. This
is a great bourbon. It's got you by the throat.
Right. Like, oh, it's delicious. Yeah. So there's been more than a few times where we've been recording episodes, and I've immediately started talking right after taking a sip, and I have had to refilm the whole take because I'll be like, so I'm. Oh my god. So yeah.
So that's a funny thing, and we don't really talk about, and I don't. I've released a few little blooper clips, but not that much. The first part of my video, until you see notes or whatever, I probably record those on average 6 to 10 times before I get it the way I want it.
So funny that you say that. When I first started doing the channel, that was totally my experience as well. And still sometimes I will end up doing like 4 or 5 takes. But I also film all the way through now. For a while I was doing cuts. But anyway, when I first started, the very first thing I did was take a sip of whiskey. Now it's the last thing I do, because I learned that if I screw up a take, I am now not 1, 2, 7 drinks in or sips in. And if
welcome to Erik Wait Whiskey Channel. I'm gonna go lay down somewhere.
If anybody's interested in seeing what that actually looks like, watch the Bullet Bourbon, Bullet 10, and then Bullet Rye. I filmed all 3 of them in the same night, and that was my old style of filming. Right. And between all 3 of those, I believe it was 15 takes, which each one of those included at least 1 sip.
Well, one of the things is, if you look at my earlier videos, I'm pretty much talking in a normal conversational tone.
Yeah.
Which does not work well when you're on stage or trying to get through the medium of a microphone and camera. You have to, not that you act like a total spazoid, but you got to amp it up just a little, bring some energy, bring a little bit of energy to it. So if you look at my older videos versus now, I have a lot more energy at the beginning. The problem is when I have so much energy and I'm going blah, 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 is I stumble my own words and I start doing a little Elmer Fudd syndrome there.
Yep.
And then I run over myself. So then I'm having to and then I get pissed off. Take 10, son of a bitch.
It's funny you say that. Earlier today, so as I mentioned, I'm actually a director of development, which means I'm a manager of managers of software engineers. Just so happens that right now there are actually no managers underneath me, but I'm still up those guys.
Do you have any secretaries underneath you?
I don't. I prefer them on top.
But I hope his wife's not working.
So, anyway, I hope my wife isn't going to see this. Anyway, so I had to do this thing. It's called an all hands meeting. It's kind of what you would expect. Right. It's everybody in the office gets together and you give a presentation. Right. So me and a bunch of other senior leaders were given this presentation today. And I did my part, and I talked a little bit about where we are and what development's doing and blah, blah, blah. And as I'm giving this presentation, I realize I'm doing all right. You know, like I'm not nervous. I'm walking around a little bit, you know, and I'm not stumbling over my words. My tempo's good, all this stuff. And afterwards, you know, I got some kudos from some of the other senior leaders after the fact. They were like, hey, you did a great job. And I realized that talking on the channel has dramatically increased my public speaking abilities.
Yep.
Yeah.
So having been, you know, an ordained minister preaching, I've taught high school and college, bringing, I mean, the medium is different because you're not in front of a room full of people, which is probably the oddest thing at first because you're talking to this little camera versus a room full of people and you're not getting facial responses and feedback. So that's a little odd, and you kind of get over that. Yeah. But I did find having that previous experience did help. Bring it into it.
Doing a live stream, not that it would make much sense, but doing a live stream without a chat would be absolutely brutal if you had to do it by yourself.
Ross Fudd, his name's Fudd, says that's Porky Pig, not Elmer Fudd. You probably except I actually would get a little bit of Daffy Duck, and who does this stuff on Thuckatat? Sylvester the cat.
The cat, yeah. But is it Sylvester or just Sylvester?
I think it's just Sylvester.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Anyway, get all tongue-tied. Tongue-tied. Okay, just now. You know what? This I would say the Laphroaig 10 cask strength. It's actually more approachable than what I was expecting.
I agree. I do think that the cask strength part, like the proof, would probably hit somebody new, or if they hadn't had a dram prior, it would probably be a little brutal at first. So people have been, the topic of the conversation in here has been when you've swallowed whiskey and it's gone down the wrong pipe, which is one of the more painful things that you can experience.
Well, if you've been listening to Metallica or Motorhead, and then you listen to Scorpions is soft, in comparison to Metallica or Motorhead, and it's probably something comparable to that. But that's another thing we actually have in common is we're both metalheads.
I was gonna bring that up earlier today. So I was talking to so I have a Discord, right, which is like a chat program. And earlier today, I mentioned something, I forget what it was, but basically people were calling me a beast, right? And I started thinking, I was remembering Man of War, which, you know Man of War, right? And I just, that came to mind, and I remembered that we were, you know, going to be doing this. I was like, oh, that's right, Erik's like a metalhead as well. And I was like, I bet we could talk about that. We could probably chat about that to some degree. Yeah.
Well, I actually did a video,
You did the Motorhead whiskey,
the Motorhead whiskey, which... To me, it's an okay whiskey, but it doesn't really meet the image of Lemmy.
I would imagine, That's tough, though. Like, if I'm thinking about what I would want, like, it would have to be a peated whiskey.
Yep.
You know?
A peated cask strength whiskey.
Right, yeah.
That was just a kick-ass whiskey.
Yeah, but which is tough because you'd think it would have to be an American whiskey, just because. But
he's not an American.
That's a good point.
He's from England.
Yeah, but... I guess that's a good point. Yeah.
Anyway, but it's something big, kind of in your face, and kind of give you a whiskey that gives you the middle finger.
I guess I'm more thinking that the metal was more wide or bigger in the U.S. or maybe not.
Metal. Yeah. I mean, that's a UK phenomenon that came over here to the United States.
People are picturing you with long, flowing '80s metal hair.
No, no. I had blonde hair. I could post some pictures somewhere. I had blonde hair, but it was always very thin and light. So no, I never had. You know what the funny thing is? I actually thought it'd be funny. I'd get a couple masks. A couple wigs. And then bring it in. We both sit here with wigs and go.
So there may be something along those lines coming up on my channel very soon.
Okay.
So those of you that have seen my channel before, probably many of you have watched my videos, know that I often will wear a random hat of some sort and never acknowledge it. It's just become a thing I do.
So Steve A asked, "What's your favorite Man of War tune?" Be honest with you, I'm generally familiar with Man of War. I never had an album. Wasn't really fun. So So I started off with the Beatles when I was in elementary school. Got into Rush in junior high, and then went Scorps, Maiden, Metallica, Motorhead, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, Ronnie James Dio. I'm trying to think what else. Anyway, so that's sort of the 80s bands there. But Man of War I'd heard of, wasn't really that familiar with, and there's a bunch of other bands. So I've never been into death metal or the stuff that was like I want to be satanic metal. I was never into that crap.
I'm looking up a very specific song because they asked me what my favorite Man of War song was, and I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. Of course, the whiskey doesn't help with that.
And when metal went hairband and spandex, and it sort of jumped the shark on that one. That's when I was like, okay, I'm out of here. For me, I've always been into powerful vocals and powerful guitars, so I actually got into classical guitars, Christopher Parkening, because I was a big fan of Yngwie Malmsteen. Just awesome guitarist, and then got into classical music in general, and then which got me then to opera, because that's just the power of opera. But again, it's always been and then there's just an intensity of emotion in opera, even if you don't understand the word they're saying. In fact, I was listening to Andrea Bocelli on my way over here, I was never that big on Man of War.
Yeah. Well, so I discovered Man of War way after they were no longer a thing.
Okay.
And a big portion of that was they just randomly popped up on Pandora one time. So I listened to Avenged Sevenfold, which some of you might know. I'm not sure if you know them. And the Man of War, based off the Pandora algorithm, they just randomly came on.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, these guys are great, right? It just, it freaking rocked. There was like, rock scream, which I would love to do, but I don't want to piss off your neighbors here. But anyway, I got really into Man of War, and I would always go running and listen to Man of War.
Okay.
And they just, something about the music, it just kind of like kept me interested enough that I kind of forgot I was running.
Okay.
And I would do like 4 or 5 miles and just be done over the course of an album or so. Somebody was asking, and I know the answer to this for me, but what is your favorite? They asked what your favorite Metallica guitar solo was. Right. I would just expand upon that and more just say, do you have a particular song from Metallica that you're a huge fan of?
It probably Enter the Sandman, but also Master of Puppets. It's funny because you're talking about exercising. So I have a gym where I live, and I've been getting back in the gym. I've actually been sick for the last week. But
great! I'm so glad you're going to get me sick.
You need a good you need something that has a good pace. And so I've actually been listening to Enter the Sandman. Both Motorhead did a cover of it. Which I really, really, really like. As well as Metallica's, obviously the original. But then also Master Puppets. There's a really Master Puppets is about 8 minutes long, and then there's like a little guitar solo segue, and I really, really like that. But the funny thing is, most of the time listening to music, never paid attention to what they're trying to communicate. Master Puppets is actually an anti-cocaine song.
Is it really?
Yeah, because it's all about how you've become a slave to cocaine and snorting this crap up your nose. And that's what it's all about.
I'm gonna have to re-listen to that. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, Ozzy Osbourne's Suicide Solution is actually a commentary on abusing alcohol. Which I'm sure he's got plenty of experience in doing that. But anyway, so go on YouTube, watch Master Puppets lyrics.
Okay.
It'll play the song, and then you'll read the lyrics along with it.
Figure it out.
And you realize, oh, wow, this is actually an anti-cocaine song.
That's interesting.
Which you don't normally think of a metal being an
anti-cocaine,
or anti-drugs or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, I just found, I found the pace of it, the length of it, and so forth worked really well with being on it. And
nice. But
my favorite song is actually for being on a treadmill, actually Judas Priest.
Oh yeah.
The particular ones.
Nightcrawler. Yeah. I totally got the tempo wrong on that. Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh man, I love Judas Priest. I really do.
Oh, yeah. So something people notice. So my intro video for Islay month, the music I have in the background, there's actually a really, really good, and you don't use music in your videos, do you?
I try not to. I have my one little theme that I do.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't, because I don't want to get into trouble with copyright.
Right.
Like I purchased the song that I have as my main theme there, and that's really the only one I use.
So
yeah.
On that note.
Yeah.
You
didn't get a copyright strike, did you?
No. So just to let you know, so there's learning about whiskey, there's learning about wines, there's learning about analysis, learning about history, there's learning about production, there's all that part of learning, but then there's learning about how to do video, how to do editing, how to do that has nothing to do with whiskey, but it has to do with how you're presenting on this venue. And Bill's helped me out with learning some of that stuff, and I've got a lot more to learn. One of the biggest things you've turned me on is to Nick Nimmin and his brother D Nimmin.
Yeah. I don't like D as quite as much, but I find his focus is not really what I care about.
Yeah, his mostly focus is on this. Yeah. And he interrupts his brother all the time, which pisses me off during the live streams.
Yeah.
I would just smack him, but you get used to it if you grew up with someone like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if you want to be a YouTuber, whiskey tuber, highly check out Nick Nimmin, Nimmin. They go live at 6 a.m. Pacific. They're actually they're Americans, but they're in
Taiwan.
Thailand.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've learned tons from them. But anyway, so about music.
Well, let me pause you for 1 sec. If you want to become...
Don't forget Epic Sound. You're going to talk about Epic Sound.
All right.
Okay.
Good. If you want to become a whiskey tuber and you have questions, you can always contact me. One of the we were talking before we started the live stream about what our current goals are as far as our channel growth and what we're doing live stream wise. My current focus is bringing on newer whiskey tubers or smaller channels and helping them grow. I'm super lucky. My channel is the size that it is, and I have the reach that I do.
What do you get, like
32,000?
Holy shimolians!
So, I mean, I'm probably with.
I remember when you hit 30, but okay.
I do too. Yeah. Well, obviously, my current rate of growth will outpace Horst, which is literally whiskey.com.
Right.
With this year.
So. Okay. God bless Horst. God bless him.
Oh, you mean?
But yes, it drives me freaking insane, dude. So when I edit my videos, and if I'm making noise, I drop I drop that sign so you don't hear me going.
Yep.
And then you can hear him going. I mean, come on, dude, get a freaking clue.
That dude is almost like the definition of eccentric, and he's truly like fun to watch.
I thought I was the definition of eccentric.
You are. Yes, you are. So, Epic Sound.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, we should tie an onion around our belt because that was the style in those days.
Yeah.
It's easy to get off on tangents. I can't watch Horst because of so there are some things only he has reviewed. Yeah. So I got a whiskey I'm going to be reviewing. It's a Ardbeg Kildalton. You can only get it from the distillery. Yeah, Kildalton. It's so anyway, it'll be coming up. There are like 4 or 5 people who reviewed. For people reviewed. We drink a few.
Yeah, we drink a few. So the hotel does have a bar / restaurant. Oh, yeah. I think we should go there next.
Yeah, we should order some food. Anyway, so Horst is one of the people who has reviewed that one, and I tried watching it, and it's like nails on a chalkboard. And there's like 3 or 4 other people that have reviewed it, and they're all German. And I know a little bit of German, but the whiskey bloke.
Scheißer.
Yeah, Scheiße. Well, I grew up in a German-speaking family, and my brother has a bachelor's, master's degree in German.
All right.
Anyway, but Whiskey Bloke has reviewed it as well.
Okay.
But you got 15 minutes of comedy before you get to the actual review. Anyway, but yeah, I can't hang with that so much.
Yeah, I'm with you. So what about Epic Sound?
Oh, Epic Sound. Thank you.
No problem.
It's easy to get off on these tangents. Okay, so
I'm used to drinking way too much and having to keep my thoughts straight. So I'm got your back.
You get up on these side roads and figure out what were we talking about?
Epic Sound.
Okay, so
third, I don't know.
So from Nick Nimmin, he mentioned not only is in terms of Nick Nimmin's skills and abilities and how to do things well, but they recommend other sites and apps and all that, and they may only mention it in a singular video.
Yep.
And if you didn't see that video. So they're a really great source for other sources.
Right. Learning how to do YouTube.
So one of the things they mentioned, that Nick mentioned, was Epic Sound.
Yep.
So Epic Sound is a website. They have new, creative, original music. You can do it so you can check them out for a month for free, which a month is free is cool. and then after that, it might be like $3 or $4 a month.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So if you get a subscription to TubeBuddy, you get a whole bunch of stuff from, I forget the name of the site, but it's like Hero Sound or something like that. They're great. They're really great.
Okay.
And
Which I have YouTube Buddy as well.
Right. But so long time ago, they did a promotion where it was basically a lifetime of kind of their lowest paid tier for like $9.
Okay.
Or maybe $30. Either way, I bought it. And so I have the lowest tier of TubeBuddy forever.
Okay.
And it has most of what I need. Doesn't have the A/B testing. And I know most of you guys don't care about this, so we'll stop in a minute.
So I've had people comment on my music. The thing about Epic Sound is you can choose what's the mood, what's the length, what's the genre, and even do a combination of those. So there's a lot of new music in my videos and using it as background, so you don't have to worry about the strikes and the claims and all that kind of crap. And you can... They're able to fit the mood that I want for my music. Yeah. Anyway, but enough of that.
I'm loving this. So a little higher in the chat than what you can see now. Somebody was imitating Horst via text, which was fantastic.
Oh my God.
It said
who was it?
So scroll up a little bit. I'm actually going to read it out loud because it was funny. So
geez.
swish, 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 swish. Swish, swish, swish.
And that was Kilojolt.
So it's pretty good.
Yes, I mean, so, I want to respect my elders and God bless them and everything like that, but...
I don't think that we're necessarily talking negative about him, just pointing out one particular facet.
No, I'm just... Yeah. But and Lord knows I have my own things that I could correct and fix and whatever else, and I don't have a wife to say, Eric, you need to trim your nose hairs. or whatever else.
Yeah.
But it's like, Horst, if you happen to be watching this,
never mind, I'm not going to tell you.
So put a little bit of water in.
Okay. So we're doing the Laphroaig cast strength with a little bit of water. Let's see what that's all about.
So we've been
Thank you, by the way, for bringing all this stuff.
Sure.
Which makes it way more fun.
We've been at this for an hour and 25 minutes, and I'm having a jolly good time.
Me too.
And some people got to go to work in the morning. I don't, so...
So as I was telling Eric, so I'm flying out tomorrow. I'm flying out roughly I think it's 1:20 my flight takes off.
Right.
I'm going to leave the office at 10. I genuinely don't care if I go to work hungover. There's not a whole lot I have to do tomorrow. And I'm the boss. So
there you go. So, I cannot go. If I went into work hungover, I would be walked out.
Oh yeah.
They would walk me out the door. It's like no.
Well, I can fake it well enough for 2 or 3 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Time for...
All right. See you later, Steve. Thanks for coming by.
Hey, Steve A, thank you very much for tuning in. Jay Chung, definitely keep it going. Yeah, we'll keep it going. I don't have to get up in the morning. Nah. And I don't have any... So, you have what is it, 3? Is it 2 or 3 hour between here and when your normal time zone?
3.
So, I don't have any jet lag issues because I just head south.
Yeah.
Whereas your time thing might be off a little bit.
Earlier today, now given this was after a 3-hour meeting or so, but I walked out of the meeting and I'm just kind of hanging out. And somebody that generally is very nice to me walks up and goes, "You look really tired." And I had to say, I was like, I am really tired. I don't sleep very well. I really genuinely like this hotel. This is the 4th time I've stayed here. Yeah. The pillows, something about the pillows, I don't love them. They're down pillows or something. I'm not really allergic to anything, but something about them doesn't let me sleep very well.
I sleep best at home. It has nothing to do with the quality of the pillows or the mattress. It's just being somewhere foreign.
Right.
So, I mean, I for the most part, I stayed top-of-the-line places when I went through Scotland, for example. The Hotel de Vin in Glasgow, I could move in. Yeah. That place is freaking awesome.
Ooh, but this is way better with water.
Yes.
Wow.
So,
sorry to interrupt you. Sorry.
Texturally, I really like it. It's a lot more silky, softer. Yeah. It's not as abrasive. I think the fruit notes are still there. The chocolate is there. The smoke has come down just a little bit. A little bit.
It brings
really nice.
It brings out way more of that orange taste to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot more of that citrus there.
Yep.
It's almost like almost a blood orange. Almost a blood orange.
Yeah, I feel like I have had them, but I feel like I need to have another one because I don't really. This is one thing actually I would love your expertise on. I have trouble keeping track of mentally what things smell like and taste like if I haven't had them in a while.
Yep.
Do you ever find that that's a problem that you have?
No, because I have such strong memories attached and emotional component to it. So I'll send you a copy. So I created a grid. It's 3 pages long, but it took the Quartermaster Sommelier's grid for analyzing wines, and I converted it into analyzing whiskeys. I sent it to Daniel Weddington at the Whiskey Vault.
Whiskey Vault, yep.
Sent a copy to Vito over at Castering. I sent a copy to Blind Whiskey Reviews, since he does things blind. And I sent one to Roy at Aquavite. So if you want a copy to it, someone asked me about the bottle.
Yeah, I figured I would listen, but not interrupt.
Sure. So I'll send you, if you want a copy of it, I can send you a link to it. That kind of might help. But anyway, and I'm hoping for feedback to make whatever edits I need to.
Sure.
Because once I get a finalized version, I want to send it off to Dr. Don Livermore at JP Weiser's.
Okay.
And then send it off to the Edinburgh Whiskey Academy. Anyway, that kind of might help. But in terms of memorizing particular senses and stuff, I don't know. I think it's just repetition.
Yeah.
And the things I don't know, my left ear is itching. The thing I'm weakest on is florals and spices. And the funny thing is, that's real common for dudes.
Really? Okay.
A lot of master sommeliers go,
it's floral.
Yeah. They go.
It smells like flowers.
It's a purple wine. Okay, it's got to be violet. It's got to be lavender. What are 2 purple flowers? Violets and lavender. So whereas women tend to be a lot better at it.
By the way, for those of you that noticed that the water bottle fell right here, it totally landed standing straight up. So I took a sip and I was trying to be nonchalant about it, and I just kind of threw it right here, and then I moved and it slipped through here and it totally landed just right side up. So about that, so
it's just repetition.
That makes sense. Now, trying to think of. Now I've had too much. So people were asking us for nosing and tasting notes, kind of compared to with and without water.
Oh.
So we were mentioning it's a little bit more silky, which totally.
Yeah, texturally, for me, the first thing that I noticed different is texturally it's different.
I think that's one of the biggest things. And whereas before I was saying that when you nose it, there wasn't like a ton of peat smell to it, but there was some. I find once you add the water, it's almost gone. Personally.
I mean, the peat is more diminished?
On the nose.
Okay, on the nose.
Yeah. So...
Which is really...
Actually, maybe I'll retract that statement. Maybe I just didn't have my nose as much in the glass.
So here's the weirdest thing. So I'm really, really familiar with the Laphroaig 10. I was expecting this to be the Laphroaig 10 on steroids.
Yeah.
And it's not.
And it's not.
It's almost like it's just a completely different whiskey. Which has me curious about, so what is their reduction of strength adding water doing to the whiskey that it's that much different between the two?
So question to the audience, because you guys have easier access to this kind of stuff. What is the ABV on Laphroaig 10? Unless you happen to know off the top of your head, but I don't know off the top of my head. I would guess it's probably more normalized, like 46 or something.
Yeah, I would guess either 43 or 46.
Yeah. So somebody look that up for us.
And it's probably 50 ppm.
Yeah.
Original.
Yeah.
So it just makes me really, really curious as to what's going on between the two, because I would never associate this blind with the Laphroaig 10, with the normal Laphroaig 10.
So
I wouldn't say.
I feel like I would.
Oh, really?
Which is funny. Like I think 99 out of 100 times your palate and nose would be better than mine, but for me, like, I totally think I would identify this as a Laphroaig.
Okay, so it's
really, I don't.
The Laphroaig 10 is 40% EU, 43 United States.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any reason for that you know of?
Yeah. So when blended
Texas?
No. That's a good guess.
Yeah.
United States,
most things have to do with money.
It just became, I think, just standard for blended whiskeys. Blended whiskeys being the most popular, 40%, and that kind of carried over into the single malts. And whereas the United States didn't have that issue. There was also sort of a mommy state. I call it a mommy state. I'm a libertarian in my view of politics.
Yep.
A mommy state take that, hey, we need to have a lower alcohol by volumes in order to sort of attempt to get away from alcoholism and all this issues, which is stupid.
It's silly, yeah.
silly. But anyway,
if they only sold whiskey at 40%, I would buy like a, what's it called, a Eulermeyer flask. Like I would start, distilling my own stuff from what I bought. I would just evaporate the water out of it and raise the ABV.
So here's the funny thing, and I've actually sort of talked about this with Roy in comments and then verbally. When you come from the wine world, low ABV wines, German wines, because it's a colder regions, they don't get as much sugar. They don't get as much alcohol. 9%.
9%.
Bordeaux, 13.5. Now with climate change and so forth, now you're looking at 14 ABV. And so people in the wine world go 14.5%. Wow, that's a hot wine. Mm-hmm. Now, if you go from 14.5 in a wine and you go to 40%, holy
shit. It's a whole different world.
Yeah, yes, but if you're making that jump, when you go into 40%, you do not ever say this lacks flavor or intensity.
That's true.
Because
that's a very good point, actually.
But eventually, but it's the same thing. Like, okay, so I'm from Northern California. We're now in San Diego. Mm-hmm. The climate is different. The weather is different. It's warmer here than it is where I live.
Yep.
So when I lived here for 8 years, I would go home for the holidays. I was like, holy cow, it's cold up there.
Right. Yeah.
But that's only because I got used to San Diego weather.
Right. Okay. Well, it's 76 and sunny.
Right.
Every day.
Other than when I come down here now, it's raining. Mm-hmm. But there's a similar experience to that too. You become accustomed to an ABV, and now in order to get the same sort of effect, you got to go a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Or the analogy I used with Roy was, so the drive from here to the Bay Area is 8 hours.
Okay.
You get on I-5.
Yep.
And you do this for 8 hours.
Well, let me pause you for a second.
Yes.
One of the funniest things I've ever seen was on I-5.
Okay.
And it's a road sign. So this road sign has a picture of a cow upside down. and falling, clearly falling. It's got like little lines showing that it's going down. And as you drive down the road, you notice that this whole area, like over to your right or whatever, is pasture, right? And there's cows that live on this pasture, and they're raising cows, and there's cliffs. So every now and then, apparently, a cow will fall off the cliff and will fall down, and you better be careful. You better watch out for that, because you might have a really bad day. A cow might just go through your windshield. So, like, I saw that sign, and I'm just like, there's a lot going on with just that one little symbol of an upside down cow. Like, you gotta think to yourself, a cow made a very drastic mistake one day of its life.
Anyway, so you get up there on I-5 out in the middle of in the Central Valley, and there's not much to listen to, and it's a boring straight drive, and you get a lot of road noise, and so you keep turning up the volume. Mm-hmm. And so I would get home, to my home I grew up in Walnut Creek.
Your ears are ringing.
I would no, I'd be fine.
All right.
But the next day, I'd come out to my truck. You get it, you turn on. Holy cow, that music's loud!
Right.
You didn't really realize you become numb to the volume of the music because of being on the road. And so something similar with the alcohol in whiskeys is we keep needing to crank up the volume, so to speak, because we've just gotten used to it. To where now cask strength has to be my norm. In order for me to get my fix of flavor, and whatever else, I need to have it at cask strength.
Yeah.
And so Roy did a whole live show on this. It actually might be good to take a step back, recalibrate. Recalibrate. But the one whiskey that I really liked, I didn't like it at the distillery, but I liked it at home, which is odd. Because usually you like it more where you got it than when you got it home, was the Cragganmore 12. Cragganmore 12.
Yes. Yep.
It's only 40% ABV, and I didn't think much of it. It has a lot of flavor. I really, really I was impressed by it. But by default, you go, yeah, but what if it was 46? What if it was...
I do hate when you get that.
You say that to yourself, but I'm kind of thankful that it's at 40 because it shows me if you do it right and you know what you're doing, you don't have to go because eventually we'll be going. It's 99% alcohol.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
So I Hey, what's going on, Mark?
And
Matt.
Whiskey Crusaders is in the house.
Mark.
Thank you very much for tuning in.
Yeah, Whiskey Crusaders is Matt. So Matt, before we started the stream, we actually had your Middleton very rare 2016, and it was a great start for us. By the way, just out of curiosity, clearly you guys are all still in here. How has the stream quality been? Because we are on a hotel, and I know for a fact this was a concern because I brought home an Ethernet cable from my work today. Of course, there's no Ethernet jack
Cable in here.
Yeah, right. So that wouldn't have helped. But I'm curious if it's been having any artifacts or anything like that. I definitely enjoyed it, Whiskey Crusaders.
So we currently have 29 in the room, which is cool.
Yeah. We had 34 at one point. At least that was the top that I saw somebody comment. I don't know how many we've had.
Well, people got to get in the morning. It's late at night and all that. So I take that in account and so forth.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And the reality is, if nobody was watching, I don't care. I'm having a good time with it.
Well, I was just gonna say, like we're already over an hour, so we may as well just go until we don't want to.
Yeah, sure. I'm not doing a food quick 8 hours.
No 8 hours.
Yeah, I'm not doing it 8 hours here, but I'm good.
So it's 9:40, so we got time. Yeah,
I'm fine.
It's all good. Great quality on the audio and video. That's good to hear. Cool. Video stream froze for a short period a few times, otherwise audio is fine. All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna read this verbatim because it's funny. I'm some too drunk. I'm try to sleep. Nice to listen to you. You know what? Actually, all right. I take it back. Lar 3
Lark
whatever.
Three
he's from
RI.
Sweden, so he just doesn't speak English. But at first, I just assumed that was a side effect of the alcohol.
It could be both.
It could be both.
It could be.
Probably just double plus bad.
Interesting. He's called Lark 3 RI because Lark is that distillery down in Tasmania that I just really enjoyed.
That's true. Lark 3 Rye. Yeah, I don't know. So we were talking about.
I was gonna say, do you ever make your way to the Bay Area?
No.
I
work too freaking much.
I know.
I really do.
But if you're ever there, I guess maybe not for business. But if you're ever in the Bay Area, you got to come over, man. I got some killer whiskeys.
So the Bay, that's like 8. Well, I mean, obviously you flew down,
right?
So
it's an hour and a half flight. It's an 8 hour drive. It's a long ways. Yeah. It's so the nice thing about when I lived here, it's far enough away to where your relatives aren't going to come visit you, but it's close enough to if you want to go visit them for the holidays, whatever else you can get there.
Well, I will tell you that, depending on, so here's the deal. My wife, like I have a 4-year-old. Let me just get this out. So, I'm really bummed, right? So my 3-year-old just turned 3 on yesterday.
Okay.
And I had to be here.
Oh yeah.
And that sucks.
You missed the birthday. Yeah.
I was originally going to be out here next week.
Okay.
But what happened was, all the senior management and whatever found out that I was coming, and so they were like, oh, we should all go out and we should do just this big, huge thing, have all kinds of meetings, whatever. And I'm like, great. I get to not get anything done that I was planning on getting done. And during the course of that, they moved the date up a week. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll go up a week. I had forgotten originally why I moved the time to next week was obviously so I could be home for my daughter's birthday.
Right.
So anyway, she turned 3 yesterday, and it's fine. But more what I'm saying, that was a total tangent. But my wife, who's now home with the girls for 5 days straight, probably wouldn't want me to spend an extra day out here and go up to go visit you to drink.
No, I just didn't know. If, so, like for my work, when I travel, it's all different places. I could be in Texas, it could be in Colorado, it could be in DC, it could be down here.
Is there in Boston?
It could be. You know, it's funny. There was actually a training thing. It could have taken place in Boston, but it didn't.
Well, if you ever find your way out to Boston, we will do this, except at my place.
Absolutely,
and then we will have a smorgasbord of different whiskeys.
So actually, I'm glad you brought that up. So, I like your. So the one thing that's been for me has been a pain in the ass is my set.
Yes.
Because I don't own my place, and if you look at older videos versus now, it's developed with a couple more shelves and more bottles, and if you were to walk in there right now, you're like, holy cow, Erik just converted his whole front of his place to a studio.
Yeah.
If I had a spouse, she would be like, get this crap out of here. You know, all this lights and this cameras and all this stuff, you know.
Yep.
I've always really liked your set, if you want to call it. So to me, it looks like you use a countertop, which works really well.
Yep.
You have your dining room, and then it looks like a living room.
Yes. So my set is essentially my kitchen.
Right.
So my kitchen it's granite countertop, so it does look pretty nice.
I think it looks really nice.
Thank you. I filmed there. Well, actually, yeah.
I have one complaint though, but go ahead.
I want to hear your complaint.
Well, so you have dimension.
Yes.
So I'm really I pay attention to art and the philosophy of art, architecture, design, and historically there's a whole philosophy to it. Whether you're talking about the Renaissance, postmodernism, and so forth. Anyway, so you have layers to your set. You have the countertop. You hear
that is on purpose.
Yes.
Yes.
And you have the dining room, and then you have what looks like a living room.
It's a living room. Yep.
And so you could do your lighting to where it's lighting here, and so there's a depth of perception there, and you have colors and so forth, and then different seasons, the way the place is decorated.
Yep.
And people are going, "Oh my God, Eric is gay. He's talking about interior decorating."
Well, you did do jazz hands earlier, but I did it with you, so I don't know what that says.
So my one complaint is your Christmas tree last year was in a different place.
Yes, it was.
And then, but you still had all the cards and stuff up. Anyway, I just think it makes for a really good set, and it changes through the season. And even though that's not the point, everything else you talk about whiskeys and introducing whiskeys, do a little bit of research, tell them about the whiskeys, tell them about the producers, and then all that's important. I still also like seeing the entire set.
The background.
Yeah. When the Mash and Drum, Jason C did his set, I really like the way he's done his set.
Yes.
I've paid attention to the Scotch test dummies and how their set has developed. I visited the set of Scotch 4 dummies and I like the way they do this.
Yeah, you went and visited them in person?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
I must have missed that one. Yeah.
They had a dinner.
That's right.
They had a dinner, and then the day afterwards, I went and visited their stuff. Basically, it's sort of in a basement.
I was gonna say it always looks just like a corner of a basement.
It's like a corner basement at Sean's house, and around the corner is like their big screen entertainment center and all that kind of thing. But anyway, I've always really liked that, and I like the depth of color and the way the other place decorated. I just thought it really worked really well.
So you can blame my wife for the decorations.
Okay.
I don't want to say that she's like decoration person, but like
Right.
she does make it look pretty nice.
Right.
And that certainly helps. I make it a point to make the background, always put the lights on in the background so
Right.
I pop a little bit more.
Right.
So like all of it's on purpose, right? As far as my set goes, here's the thing that sucks. I film, and those of you that are patrons, which by the way you should check out my Patreon. Do you have a Patreon?
Yeah, I have 2 Patreons. I don't really pay attention to. There's so much time and energy put into different things. I don't put much. Roy does a phenomenal job in how much because I'm one of his patrons.
Yeah.
How much time he puts into it. I just don't put any time into it.
Yeah.
So Jason Codes and Malt and Man Cave are my 2 patrons.
Okay. All right.
I don't need the money, so
Yeah.
I don't talk about it much.
I like to run the channel self-sufficient, so I'm obviously appreciative of all the patrons I have. But I'm sure you are as well. Either way, so on Patreon, I often do these it's called Lens. It's kind of like Instagram's little stories, right? So I will almost always be complaining after I'm done filming because I've often had like 3 or 4 drams, if not more.
Right.
Certainly after the live streams, it's usually more like 7. Some of those being bookers. And then I have to break down all my freaking gear. And I always, the one thing that keeps my wife happy is that when she wakes up Saturday mornings, it looks like nothing happened. Occasionally my laptop will still be out or whatever, or the lights will be in the dining room instead of downstairs. But I always break everything down. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that.
If you were to visit my place, you're like, holy cow.
Well, so
it turned into a studio.
I would so much rather have that, though. I would film so much more frequently.
It's a pain in the ass because
is.
I go down the hallway from my. I have a study and then I have a bedroom. I go down the hallway. I gotta hang a left, kind of work my way around the couch, and then work my way through the living room, and then because I'm working around the lights. I can't just walk straight into my kitchen because all the lights and the stands and all that crap.
Right. So question for the audience, and this is on a slight aside, and then we're gonna get back into that conversation. Should I want to have more? Should I have Laphroaig or should I have Lagavulin? So you guys decide. Thanks, Bourbon Insane. So I think I might have mentioned this earlier in the stream. Maybe not. I know that you were talking about it. So Bourbon Insane is going to be on my stream at some point in the near future.
Is he still on?
He is.
Hey, there he is.
He's been here. So, and actually, this is the part of the night. And for those of you that don't know, whenever we do live streams, not just you, but me and several of the other whiskey tubers, the longer you watch, especially the ones that go longer than whatever we deemed we should, you typically get a little bit of backstage access, knowledge, whatever. Right. Obviously, we're talking about YouTube, whatever, in our stages and our setups and everything. This is the stuff that if I were watching, I would personally be more interested in, because drinking whiskey along with whoever you're watching is always fun, but you want to know about the person as a person, and you want to hear about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. Right. This is the stuff that usually the patrons are the only ones that find out about, but you and I have drank enough that it's fun to talk about. Right. So when I'm breaking down my set, I have 3 lights. I have my camera with a tripod. I have my laptop. I have usually way more Glencairns that are dirty than is reasonable because any human shouldn't drink that much. And then I usually have any number of bottles as well, which I have to put away. Usually takes me like 45 minutes to break down my whole set.
Jeez. And I don't have to do that because I'm not married.
Well, I'm doing it much more for the kids' sake because I don't want them to think their dad
or they might break something.
That too. Yeah. Which the lights that I have, the actual light bulbs, they're those like curly ones that I don't know if you know that there's mercury in those. Oh, yeah. And you don't want those things to break. Or at least some of them have mercury. The ones I have, I think I have 2 that have mercury and the rest that they don't. All right. That's why I like the whiskey thing. You're absolutely right. Eric described it as a turned up lager. Nobody's telling me what to drink.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Drink whatever you want, man. Whatever the.
All right. So here's.
So let me ask you this. So, what do you think you liked the most?
I was just about to say I like them both pretty equally.
Yeah.
If I had to choose one, I liked the Laphroaig after I added a little bit of water. I think that would probably be my preference. And I didn't add water to Lagavulin, so that's
okay. There you go.
Yep.
I'm actually surprised by this. I actually like the Laphroaig 10 Castering a little bit more. I find it's got more I think it's got more complexity to it. This doesn't just seem like.
Would you be offended if I mixed them?
No, I do whatever the hell you want, man. Sure. I don't care.
All right, they're telling me that.
So the Jazz just seems like a 12 with more to me, more ABV. The 10 doesn't just seem like a bigger alcohol 10. Laphroaig 10. And so I really
it's definitely its own. It's its own entity for sure.
Right.
All right. So I'm gonna mix. Oddly enough, I mixed the Booker's 2018-01 and the 03, and it was fantastic. I was shocked.
And Hoyt Hemphill, HMPL, is checking out. Hey, thank you very much for tuning in. I know this is not like a weekend event. This is a Thursday night.
That's a good point.
So it's a bit of a challenge, but I totally appreciate it. I met Hoyt at the Scotch System. It's 5th anniversary. Great time meeting up with him. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it, and have a great Friday. By the way, tomorrow I'm posting my first. It's already uploaded. I just have to hit publish.
Yep.
It'll be. I do an introduction overview of the core range of Ardbeg.
Oh,
Ardbeg. So
so you got the 10, the Ugadale, the Ano, and the
Corryvreckan, and Grooves. Grooves is now part of the core range.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's now part of the core range.
I didn't know that.
So
I'll have to review it.
So it's funny because I got an extra bottle. I could give you a bottle of that one too, but whatever.
I did try it. I'll wait till you're finished.
Anyway, so this is the beginning of Islay month on this channel, and so I already uploaded. I just got to hit publish. It'll be published tomorrow, and the next one actually I discovered I had bought and drank the Anoa and never reviewed it. So then and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot all about that one. That'll be posted on Sunday.
That is a unique problem.
That'll be on Sunday, and if everything goes right on Sunday, I get home in time and I feel up to it. I'll actually be doing an uncorking of the Kildalton, and I'll talk a little about that. And then later next week, and then the Perpetuum. So it's a heavy Ardbeg beginning for Islay month. But anyway,
I'm a little jealous of Jay Chung right now. He's popping up with a 2018 Kilchoman port.
Ooh.
That sounds fantastic.
Ooh.
I have not tried that, but it sounds really good. Let us know what you think, Jay. And I will share a jam with you, Jay. And I know you got one too. So what the hell? Cheers to Jay.
Cheers. So I think I tried it at the distillery, but I don't remember it. There were 3 that I remember we tried there. I'd have to go back and look at my notes. But I think I tried it there.
So I mixed those 2, and just for the heck of it, so it's the Cask Strength Ardbeg 10. I mean Laphroaig 10. He keeps that
Right. Yeah. J Chung.
So they had me mix. I'd like to think I did about equal parts. It was eyeballed, but it was pretty close. I'd say it's more peaty than either one is alone. Right. That's definitely the note that's coming across more so than anything else. It's completely hiding the orange, but it is bringing out a little bit more sweetness overall.
Yeah. I found just a little bit of water to that as well.
I'm going to add water in a minute too, but I always like to try things neat first. By the way, so you guys, I know you're seeing it on the stream. Occasionally I'll look down because I'm looking at the chat here, and I see you've got your face on the OBS thing.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just there. So the rest of you guys had to see his face twice this whole stream.
Yes, I have it right there. I got it right there and over there. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, anyway.
So, my branding is, I branded my name.
Yeah.
Rather than, whiskey something or other.
Yep.
And then I branded my face thanks to Roy. Roy came up with this, Aquavita came up with this logo. So the one thing I think that's so Laphroaig, the normal Laphroaig 10, I get there's a medicinal brininess, a medical hospital kind of a thing.
Yeah,
I'm not getting that on this.
I completely agree,
and that's what I'm like. That's what really throws me off. It's so unexpected. And now, so I understand why Whiskey Advocate made this number 7 out of their top 20. I think
it's way better without that medicinal. I don't know about you. I don't like when that shows up.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Laphroaig, you can expect it. It's going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's typical.
Now I got a question for the chat here. So, Kilojolt, you say that you're having the Highland Park 10. I don't think I've ever had a 10. Are you sure it's the 10? I mean, I would imagine you are, but
I'm not an expert on Highland Park.
The lowest I thought Highland Park did was the 12, but actually now that I think about it, they have a blue colored bottle,
and they have NASs as well.
That's true. The 10 is a blue, I think.
I'm actually visiting them in July. Yeah. So I'm going to. I'm being in Lowlands.
That's the part I'm jealous of you of. So I've got the family, but like you get to go do fun stuff.
Yeah. So I'll be going to 16. Right now, I currently have 16 distilleries scheduled. Plus a class. So I'll be going to Campbellton. I'll be in Lowlands, Campbellton, Speyside, Highland, and then I'll make my way all the way up to Orkney as well. Oh, and Erin. So you're going to go to Erin and go to Erin as well.
You're going to go check out Oban while you're up there?
Actually, I've been to Oban.
Okay.
I could stop in again, but I've already been there.
There's no reason to. Yeah.
Because it's a weird ass drive. You got to go up and around and then down to get to Campbellton. But then I cut across to Erin to visit Erin Distillery, and then from there take another ferry to get over to Glasgow.
What's your deal with Irish whiskeys? What's your opinion?
That's a really good question because that's probably I was Irish and I would say Canadians. God bless them.
They try so hard.
They try so hard, and they're our northern neighbors. And Rush is
America's hat.
And Rush is one of my favorite bands.
Russia?
No, Rush.
Oh, Rush.
Rush.
So I have a story about Rush. Yeah.
So so I went from the Beatles to Rush and then heavy metal. And I saw them twice in concert. But anyway, I don't want to go down that rabbit trail.
Irish whiskey.
Irish whiskey. Thank you.
Like I said, no matter how much I drink, I can still keep it on topic.
So in my education of whiskeys, I have neglected a lot of Irish.
Yep.
So I've had the common ones you're familiar with, Jameson and all that stuff. I did tealing, so I tend to go, okay, it's St. Patrick's Day, time to do the obligatory Irish whiskey review.
Yeah.
I really like tealing.
I have
but
another
other
story
than
about
that,
too.
I have a bottle of Redbreast. So I have a book on Irish whiskeys, but the book is pissing me off. I have not really good eyesight, and the print is so small. I need to read it with a microscope. And I'm like, dude, don't make a book like that.
Yeah.
So eventually, I'll read the book and then I'll review the red. I have a bottle of the Redbreast 12.
That's a good dram for sure.
But I'm not as familiar with Irish whiskeys.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm most impressed with tealing.
Yeah. So tealing's interesting. So I'm gonna totally drop the name here. Teeling is new, right?
Right.
They're fairly new. Anyway, they've had a resurgence, and their logo is a phoenix.
Right.
There is a distillery right near Teeling, and I cannot remember the name.
That
It
they
begins
broke
with a
off
C.
from?
Yeah. It's like
Cooley?
Cooley. Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
So they basically just took
Which
a
is
whole...
funny. It's actually a racial slur here in the United States. But
That's
whatever.
true. Yeah. Yeah. So is it? It's not racial.
Oh, green spot. Oh, anyway, Ross,
Well, so red.
I'll get back to that
green
one.
spot, yellow spot, all that. The yellow spot's fantastic. Green spot's also very good, but yellow spot is phenomenal. Cooley, my understanding was that's just another word for like butt.
Right. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, with Teeling, recently I was at once again Julio's Liquors, and they have a lot of ambassadors out there. Just over the course of the year, every Wednesday they have an event, and you can just go and you can try free whiskey, and they're usually ambassadors. And what I do is I hang out after the event and I network. Right. And
Okay.
Here's who I am, and let's talk. So the guy from Teeling, one of their brand ambassadors, or actually he's their main marketing guy, he said that he wants to be on my show.
Nice.
And I'm like, that's pretty cool, except I've never done that.
You haven't had
Not
any
physically
right,
in
right.
my house, you know?
So would he be doing via Hangouts or actually show up?
He wants to actually come to my place. And I have no problem with it. His name is, oh shoot.
Patrick?
No, it's spelled weird. His name, I believe it's Sean, but it's spelled like
Sean. Patrick. It's got to be Patrick or Sean.
Yeah, I think it's like spelled
O'Brien?
Cian or something. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think it's like Cian or something, but it's pronounced Sean.
Okay.
I could be totally wrong too. But anyway, he wants to come onto my place. He wants to talk Teeling. I'm totally happy about that. I tried the 24-year-old, and which is just Cooley, you know, and then
right.
and then Teeling does whatever they do with it. But Teeling itself is interesting because everything that they offer, none of it is from their distillery. It's all from Cooley.
Right.
Because all of it's too young. Right? Like
Right.
everything,
Right,
their
right,
aging
right.
is too young.
Right.
Anyway, so about Rush. So a coworker of mine is in a Rush cover band. And not only a Rush cover band, he's in the Rush cover band.
Okay.
Literally the best Rush cover.
What are they called?
They're called Lotus Land.
Lotus Land.
So
okay.
they have gone to RushCon
Okay.
over and over and over again,
Okay.
which is like it's the Rush convention.
Okay.
And they consistently win the best Rush cover
Okay.
band in the world for years at this point. And he sounds exactly like Geddy Lee.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, actually, even the way he kind of looks with the hair and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
he even with like he's kind of got nothing on top, but he's got the curly.
Well, this last year, Neil Peart announced his retirement.
What was that?
Neil Peart announced his retirement.
He did really, yeah.
Yeah, so
It's not a surprise. I mean, how old are those guys?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been around since 1972. So yeah, that's sort of the end of them. I mean, but that's amazing band to last that long, and they've had a lot of evolution and development over the years, and
Yeah.
and changing styles and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Rush.
That's great.
But
yeah.
We're just checking the comments here.
Yeah. People are talking about the yellow. Yeah, unfortunately, the yellow is like $100, and it's. I would totally like if I were reviewing it personally, I would say this is worth the money. But it's always hard to tell people to spend $100 on a whiskey. Certainly when I'm making a recommendation. You know,
Right.
I've personally never bought a bottle of Yellow Spot, but I've tried it at a bar like 3 times.
So I've had 2 of the green spots. One was a Levo Barton.
Okay.
Levo Barton.
That's a lot of
So,
noises I can't
yeah.
make with my
So
So
when I was in Glasgow, I stayed at the Hotel du Vent.
yeah.
And Roy and his wife came over. They have a restaurant. They have a bar. It's such a nice place. So we got together for dinner, and with dinner we had a bottle. It was a second tier bottle of Chateau Lieuveau Barton or Barton. It's a second growth Bordeaux. So we had this wine with dinner, and so Roy gave me a sample of the Green Spot Lieuveau Barton. And I've actually been to that chateau in Bordeaux. Anyway, so I brought that home, and I really like that. But then there's also a Chateau Montelena.
Okay.
Chateau Montelena is a winery up in the Napa Valley. Probably the most famous because they beat the French in a blind competition in 1976.
Okay.
But anyway, so that's really, really nice. So yeah, those are really, really nice. But I never had a full bottle. I just had samples. I just had samples of it.
The Green Spot is consistently good, but it's almost like getting like a compass box oak cross.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've had other compass boxes.
Let me think of a different analogy. I'm scanning my brain for scotches that I've had that would be good.
Anyway.
Yeah. I'm not gonna come up with it. So the green spot is good. It's very good, but it's kind of like middle. You know, it's not low.
Right.
It's not. It's not fantastic, but it's a high middle.
Right.
But the yellow spot is like super buttery and just really smooth, and you taste it, and it's like, I wish all Irish whiskey tasted this way. You know. And it's very, very good.
Probably what would be for me is because I'm on a particular path of journey, and I do these little side trips with Japanese whiskeys, Australia, or whatever else I can get my hands on at the moment. To take a break from Scotland, but eventually, I'll have a third trip to Scotland, maybe a fourth, and then it'll be like, okay, I've been everywhere, seen everything. Now time to move on, and then I'll move on to Ireland and Japan. I want Richard Z. If you guys see him in the chat room, he's asking me about going to Japan. So I want to go to Japan to visit distilleries, and I'd like to go to Ireland before I get too old and I'm in a wheelchair or something like that. Yeah. But and so during those times, I'll probably focus more on studying and tasting whiskeys.
So
I just want to check the chat. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, actually, so I saw Bourbon saying he's still here, which, by the way, you're a trooper. So are all the rest of you who have been here since we started going, because we've been going for over 2 hours at this point.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's 10:05, so we've been going at 2 hours and 5 minutes.
We'll wind it up down a little bit.
Yeah, as long as people are having fun.
I'm having a good time.
Yeah, right, me too.
Well, I don't have to go to work tomorrow. You got meetings or whatever.
I have no meetings, so I actually purposefully did that because I also wanted to be able to leave whenever I felt like.
Okay, then I'm good.
My one meeting that I could attend is literally 6:30 in the morning here because it's the 9:30 meeting home.
Oh, so you're doing a teleconference?
I would, but I'm not going to go to that meeting.
Oh, okay.
There's no chance.
Okay.
I like to go to that specifically on Fridays. I don't need to go on that.
Right.
Anyway, Bourbon Sane, a few nights ago, him and I were chatting in his chat. And by the way, Bourbon Sane, you need to hit 1,000 subscribers because I was going to super chat you because you were doing a fantastic job. But you got to hit that 1,000 subscribers.
I'm going to shout out before, but I do check out Bourbon Sane. There's a lot of things he's got. I think he's doing really well. Lighting, sound, the visual format, and everything like that. Brother, you need to relax a little bit, chill out, be a little more humorous, chill a little bit. But other than that, dude, your package, you're doing really well. You're doing great. Looking forward to having you on.
The live stream tense, like you gotta
kind of relax and chill.
If you feel like you have to entertain the audience, you're not going to be entertaining. You need to just be yourself.
Right. You don't have to be a total goofball like me. You don't have to go to that extreme.
I'm a little sad that there's been no dancing yet. By the way.
No, well, we don't have any room here.
But either way, I think you've got one of the more promising channels.
I totally agree.
That's part of the reason I invited you on my show. So for any other whiskey tubers, by the way, like I'm gonna be reaching out pretty soon. My whole thing this year is doing live streams with newer whiskey tubers. I want to do live streams pretty much every Friday, and I need guests because, frankly, I'm not that entertaining.
Oh, please!
Thank you.
I watch you all the time. I like to rip on you, and goof on you in the chat section.
Erik is the most distracting commenter in the world, by the way.
I feel a little bit. I feel guilty later.
It's so funny because I'll be talking and I'll be getting into some story that I've got, and I think I'm like really killing it. I'm like deep into my own story. I'm doing usually my own solo thing.
Erik, that son of a bitch.
And I'm like blah 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 blah, and then I'll just see him make some stupid dad joke, and it's so funny because friggin' I find that stuff funny, and it just derails the hell out of my stories. And every single
I actually feel bad about that.
No, you should do it every time because it makes me laugh, and it gives, if nothing else, it gives me content to talk about. But it's a good time. So who's popping off? No, Bourbon saying thanks. So by the way, just because you guys are all still here, if for whatever reason you haven't hit the thumbs up button, do it.
They hit a thumbs up, or if there was a middle finger button, I would say hit that one too. But
the thumb is about as close as you can get.
We don't have one of those.
The stupid dad jokes are the best.
So here's the other thing. So you're the whiskey dick. Whiskey Dictionary, and get shortened to Whiskey Dig, and which is sort of a tongue-in-cheek kind of a thing.
I can't even tell you how proud I was when I came up with that thought, that name. It was almost immediate too. I thought to myself, and I know you were about to make a point, but so I was thinking of names for my channel, and I was like, all right, so I want to describe. I made the immediate decision that I wasn't going to tie myself down to any particular kind of whiskey, and I was, except for the E, of course, in my name, but whatever.
Right.
So then I was like, all right, so I'm going to do everything. So I want to teach people, what are things that you teach? All right, so you got like an encyclopedia, you got a dictionary. As soon as I said that out loud, which for whatever reason I was talking out loud to myself, I was like, Whiskey Dick, oh my God. And I immediately went to make sure that nobody else was called that. And there's a bar somewhere called the Whiskey Dick. And then I was just like, whatever, I'll just get
I was thinking, and I want to give, Wikipedia would almost be a good name.
It would totally be a good name.
Yeah, it would be a good name.
Yeah.
So I did Erik Wait. So here's the funny thing in the mistakes. So I started off, okay, I'm just going to do my own backyard, California wine. Mm-hmm. So I did a wine channel, and I was just doing California. I was not expecting to go global in my interest in wines. Definitely was not expecting to get into whiskeys or anything else like that. So I was too narrow in my scope. But the one thing I did have is I just wanted to focus on my name, not on a particular region or particular wine or anything like that. So I could jump in. I could do Erik Wait barbecue sauces.
Totally
I could do Erik Wait laundry detergents. I could do anything with that. So I'm branding my name and this
mug
here. Those are two things I'm getting across.
Yep.
So, I have friends. They're into Pinot. They talk about Pinot, Burgundy. And that's great. I love Pinot Noir. I love Burgundy, but my God, there are 3,000 grape varietals in the world.
Yeah.
There's Italy and there's Spain and there's all these other Germany and there's Riesling, and you got to get out of your little niche instead of anything. So the one thing I would say and try to encourage, and Gary Vaynerchuk was always doing obscure wines from someplace when he was doing wines. With the wine, however his channel was. Anyway, is explore, try new things, try new different things, try something different, something bizarre, something from if someone makes a whiskey in Antarctica, I want to try it.
Yeah.
So just don't get stuck in such an, even if your name was Kentucky whiskey bourbon something, still explore outside of your little niche and try different things.
That is actually one thing I think that It's Bourbon Night is doing themselves a disservice with.
Yeah.
Which I'm not heartbroken because before I had that Conor McGregor video, them and I were pretty tight competitors. We were friendly with each other. That's not that's not the thing. More just numbers wise, we were competitors. I was at like 16, they were at like 10, and I was at like 18, they were at 13. We were very close.
Right.
If they expanded to Scotch or Japanese or whatever, I think they'd do a lot better.
Right.
Doesn't help to have a woman on the channel. It certainly attracts some viewers. If you look at their chat occasionally, I'm a little surprised it's not worse than it is.
And they have a good repertoire.
They totally do. Well, I mean, they're engaged now.
Yeah. Well, right. But I mean, they have. But you could have a wife who wasn't all that engaging on camera.
True.
But they're really engaged really well. They really communicate really well, and they're able to go back and forth really, really well.
Totally.
Have you noticed we actually are really good at not talking over each other too much.
Right.
So we've actually done pretty good with that.
Completely.
If you watch,
sorry.
If you watch Nick Nimmin,
right.
I want to smack his brother D. and if you watch the video coming up on my channel pretty quick with the whiskey friend, it was a little challenging with him. So,
so anyway, with the with Chad and Sarah, first off, love those guys. I hung out,
and they're dialed in visually and everything else as well.
Yeah, well, so Chad is very much like a videographer, right? He's the one that does a lot of the B-roll. He does whatever, and Sarah handles a lot of the social media. So I've had a couple conversations with Chad on the phone, especially recently. Him and I talked about just kind of like the behind the scenes YouTube stuff. And funny thing, I don't know if I ever told you this. So when they got engaged, I sent them an email. And I sent Chad an email. I was just like, hey, congratulations, whatever. I want to send you guys a gift. And what's your address? So he sent me back the address. And thanks, blah, blah, blah. So I sent them. You guys have probably seen this before. There's a thing for Blanton's. So Blanton's bourbon, it has a little horse on the top. It's part of the cork. And there's 8 different ones. There's Blantons. And each one has a different, kind of like a stride for the horse running almost.
Right.
And there's a collection that you can do where you can have all 8 of them, and then there's a space for a bottle of Blanton's in the middle. And I sent it to him. It's like $100, whatever. It was fine, but I sent it to him, and I wrote my name on it, and they got it, but they didn't know my last name.
Oh.
Despite I've met him a couple.
Actually, I don't know your last name.
I'll tell you.
You tell me later.
I'll tell you later. Yeah. Well, but that's also actually come to
His
think of it.
last name is actually Dick. That's
Yes.
where the real idea came from.
Bill
Bill
Whiskey Dick. Yeah. So actually, funny thing, I'm now realizing I don't know either Chad or Sarah's last name. So I'm not at all surprised that they didn't know who I was. But they got this random gift in the mail, and for 3 weeks on their live stream, they had it in front of them, and they were like, "So we got this thing. We don't know who sent it to us, but thank you."
Right.
Now, at this exact time, and you know this, or you probably saw this, YouTube was doing this several times a year cleanup that they do of essentially dead accounts or bots or whatever.
Ghosts.
Yeah, people who subscribe to channels who don't actually exist, or for whatever reason they haven't watched a video in like a year.
Which a lot of those may be in India. They're fake accounts in India. Right.
Exactly. So they clear people out. And I watch Chad and Sarah. I don't watch them a lot because, frankly, we're too busy. I'm sure you're in the same. You and I are actually in a lot of the same live streams.
They do lives on Sundays sometimes.
Right. I think. And I'm often busy. I mean, Saturdays and Sundays are the times where I actually take the time to spend time with my family instead of during the week where I'm friggin' filming or working or whatever. Anyway, so
Whiskey is my wife, by the way, just in case you're wondering.
So I was unsubscribed from the channel and had no idea that YouTube just targeted me as not as a bot, but as somebody who hadn't watched their stuff in a while.
That's weird.
Which is also, I agree with you. It's weird because I probably watch their stuff maybe like once a month, and I think that's reasonable.
Right.
Either way, my subscription got removed. So I had no idea that they were looking for whoever sent this to them.
Right.
So when I was on the phone with Chad, I was like, "Hey, by the way, did you I don't want to seem weird or whatever, but I never heard back from you. It would have been weird to receive a gift and not at least say thank you." So I was just like, "Did you get the thing I sent you?" And he's like, "What'd you send?" And I mentioned it. He's like, "We've been looking for you," And I'm like, "Oh, well, yeah." And I went and looked, and I wasn't subscribed, so I had no idea that they had been. Because even if I saw the thumbnail, I would have seen the thing right front and center. Of course, I would have watched it.
What's funny? I hadn't really thought about. There are certain channels I've been unsubscribed from, and I had to go back and resubscribe to them.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, maybe I just had a brain fart and didn't subscribe. I watched them, I just didn't subscribe to them.
Right.
Now I'm thinking, no, I had to originally subscribe to them. Just for whatever reason, I got unsubscribed to them. That's weird.
Yeah. Well, so I know the algorithm will occasionally not show you channels that you don't watch too much because they don't want to fill up your feed. Like if you're subscribed to 100 channels and they show you all of that in one day, not only is it a hit on their servers to show you all that stuff and download videos and download images, but you might not care.
Right.
And in this case, that just unsubscribed me from actually a few other channels as well, which I went and after I realized that, I went and resubscribed to a few other channels as well. But yeah, you should check it. You guys should all check your subscriptions. Make sure that you're subscribed to Erik, of course.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. And like this video. Anyhow, so we've been at this for 2 hours and 17 minutes. I don't know how much time you want to keep going.
I'm totally fine to
pop off
good. Whenever you're ready. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm ready for some food. Honestly.
So tell you what, I'm getting hungry. Why don't we give this just like 10 more minutes or so, and I'll call tonight. We'll make it an even 2.5 hours, which I think it'll be the longest live stream I've ever done.
Yeah,
which is fine.
Yeah.
Then we go get something to eat.
One more hour. Dude, my bladder can't hold up another hour.
Yeah,
you guys don't see that part. It's you do this. Think about the last time that you sat somewhere for like 2 or 3 hours and didn't get up. It's tough.
So some of the challenging things in terms of
channel your inner Quig. Now, there's nothing about Quig that I think of inner. I think outer.
Hey, Jason Coates, thank you so much for tuning in. I love Jason. We met up at the Scotch Test Dummies. And probably one of my faithful viewers. So some of the challenging things in terms of doing videos, and Nick Nimmin actually just did a video on this very topic is, so for me, I'm on a direction, I'm on a path, it's just a matter of finding distilleries places I haven't been to, things I haven't studied and so forth, but how to do something differently.
Yeah.
It's really easy to follow into, hi, my name's Eric, and I'm going to be reviewing this and this and this whiskey, and there's a lot of whiskey tubers are sort of doing that, and to try to do something differently, to make it interesting for me, as well as the viewers, which is just why I came up with this idea of, hey, a whole month dedicated to this.
Yeah.
To peated whiskeys. So the Scotch Test Dummies, they've done a series of the peated shootouts, the sherry shootouts. They did a Merry Sherry Christmas and those kind of ideas.
Yeah.
Is to do a whole month dedicated to Islay, and then I'm going to do a whole month dedicated to bourbon. Considering doing, I don't know if I can, a whole month dedicated to Texas, including a trip going down to Texas. But to come up with new content, something new, something different, something that's different than what everybody else is doing. It's stylistically different as well as content different. Getting to know, again, you want to do more
Smaller
live streams, smaller subscribers. I'm kind of doing that, but I'm looking for people who've been to Islay or have familiar with Islay or been to they've been to Bourbon. They've familiar with. They have a bourbon focus. They've been to Kentucky, like Bourbon and Sand has been to Kentucky, because it adds to the conversation. I'm looking to talk about a shared experience in there, and so forth. So anyway, so what are you planning doing? Do you have any ideas of what you want to do for 2019 or what you want to do?
So I did do, and actually, by the way, I suggest this for you as well, because there's some of my biggest videos of the year. Do the bar tour at the beginning of the year.
Oh, and it's funny you should say that, but anyway, go ahead.
Okay, and then do kind of like goals, right? I mean, think
goals.
Goals, like okay. So, like for me, right? So I always do my this year I did like
10 whiskeys to have while you're on dieting and trying to lose weight.
I did do a how many calories are in your whiskey, so check that out. Yeah. So the thing that I always do every year, because I do it as a in my business world as right. well, is you do like your what do you call it, the president does it, your like yearly
inaugural or no
the State of the Union. So I do kind of like a State of the Union. I call it just like my 2018 recap, whatever. Right. So I like to hold myself accountable. Actually, so I'm going to totally go off on a tangent here. So I'm doing this training. It's a thing for my work, and they want you to, it's a training basically how to essentially be better at everything that you want to do. Right. I forget what it's called in 7 Habits, right? Okay. This is like a common thing, right? So 7 Habits makes you think about your own mission statement. Obviously it's like your company has a mission statement. You should at least know what it is. Right. But like if you have one personally and you actually believe in it and adhere to it, like you might be more successful. So me personally, I thought about this long and hard. And funny thing is that I haven't actually said this out loud before to anybody other than my wife, is my personal mission statement is push yourself to do more. Right. And that is a thing that I've found always brings me happiness, which is funny because it also brings me a lot of stress.
Right.
So
the challenge that whether to climb Mount Everest, whatever it is you got to do. Right?
Exactly. So I find myself when I have free time, I feel like I'm wasting time. And it's weird because I often will literally skip sleep because I want to accomplish more while I still can. Right. So obviously the YouTube channel, like last year I went from 1 video a week to 2, and now I'm doing 2 videos a week still, but I'm doing also a live stream, and that's just the whiskey channel, which is my hobby. My actual job, I'm doing way more. Right. And I've gotten 3 promotions in 5 years.
What's funny? I'm finding, even though in one sense we're very different people, different personalities, and yet there's something very common that I think you and I both have in common on this. Besides being bald and like in heavy metal metallic.
I am not bald. I shave my head. I have a luxurious lock.
But being driven in that sense and having all that kind of stuff, I find I'm sitting there going, holy cow! I'm totally
get it.
Yeah, totally get that.
It's why not experience as much as you possibly can while you can. You know?
Right.
And that's my personal driving factor.
Right.
So anyway, with this, I actually totally forgot where my whole concept was going, but that's my personal mission statement. That's what I find driving.
Push yourself beyond.
Just push myself to do more. And a big chunk of it was people that have mission statements. Sometimes they're like paragraphs, and like screw that. I can't remember a paragraph right off the top of my head, but I can remember that if I'm having trouble making a decision, I will realize that 2 weeks from now, when I look back on that decision, if it's sit on the couch and scratch my balls or push myself to do more, which one am I going to be more proud of?
Right,
you know?
Exactly.
Which one's going to be better?
Right.
So like last night, right? So I had a long day at work. I had a 6-hour meeting. 6-hour meeting. It's ridiculous, right? But I got back to the hotel room and I
tend to walk out. There's no way in hell. There's no way in hell I'm sitting for
it helps to be like one of the drivers of the meeting, like not just a total observer. Anyway, so I got back to the hotel room. I had to edit a video for Friday, which I did, and I actually did it later in the night. I'll talk about that in a sec. I went to the gym because I haven't run in like 4 months because it's freaking cold outside, right? And I prefer to run outside. I get bored on treadmills. But I was like, you know what? I'm here. My wife and kids are at home. I've got literally nothing to do that I don't want to do. I'm going to go run. And at the end of that, I was like, you know what? I pushed myself to do more. I was happy about it. And then I was like, all right, now I'm hungry. And I know I'm about to go to the restaurant and eat like a 2,000 calorie burger. And at least I just burned like 300 calories. Right? So they're totally equivalent.
At least psychologically diminish the guilt a little bit.
And that helped. And, you know, like when I thought about it, I was like, you know, I'm okay with this because I would have had the burger anyway. And at least it's 1,700 calories, not 2,000. Right. So, and then I had 2 beers and I went back to the hotel room and edited a video, kind of drunk, and it which also makes it go by faster. But it's always that push yourself to do more. So I like cool. That.
Yeah, and not only just do more in terms of quantity, but I find myself want to do things better. Mm-hmm. How can I do things better? Mm-hmm. And so I'll watch other whiskey tubers or just YouTubers, period. Not to imitate them, but to be inspired by them and go, wow, they do this so well. I'm inspired to do a little bit more and do a little bit better and try to be better. And I've gotten that from you. I've got it from Scotch Test Dummies, Scotch 4 Dummies. I've got it from the Vault.
Yep.
And my personality is so different from everybody else's. I'm not going to be like them. Right. And I can kind of get a little, oh, that's a good idea. I never thought of that. Ooh. Oh, yeah, I could do something and do something different like that and be inspired by them. And not just people in the whiskey community, but outside the whiskey community as well. But there's a parallel to that to whiskeys. I mean, Laphroaig, Ardbeg, and Lagavulin, neighbors, and yet very distinctive styles.
Mm-hmm. True. Very,
very, very different. And yet they're somewhat in the same ballpark and yet very, very different. But you can and there's a history. I'm not going to go into. There's also some history between those 3.
Yep.
But you can kind of see how they could be different and yet be complementary at the same time. So
the Laphroaig and Laphroaig and
Ardbeg. Lagavulin.
Lagavulin.
Yeah.
Their history is hilarious.
Yeah. And they seem to. They have like, okay, dude. It's like someone who's been.
It's actually almost like these two shouldn't be so close together.
Yeah, it's almost as if they like an old girlfriend that broke up a long time ago
and keyed your car.
Yeah, it's like okay, exactly. It's like okay, get on. That was like 200 years ago. Get on with it now. Get over it already. But they keep talking about it.
Yeah. So we got about 2 minutes left in the stream. Okay. I think
says Erik is Ralphie and
I saw that. Yeah. Well, you don't have as many cool hats. But see, one thing that you guys don't realize is that when we're setting up our lights, we have to take our heads into account. because they're very shiny.
You know, it's funny because one of the major reasons why I changed my lighting is to get rid of that.
I'm not joking.
To get that glow, yeah. To get rid of that glow. So I spent $600 in new lighting just to get that shiny glow off my head.
That's awesome. So we got like 2 minutes left. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk, like kind of promote or anything like that before we go?
No, I mean, I think I'm really looking forward to just doing Islay Month. I put a lot of work. I mean, I've done all the editing and fitting from all the videos, everything ready to go for the month. I'm really looking forward to getting to know people who are going to be coming alive. I'm hoping it all goes well. I've already recorded some are yet to come, and getting to know more of the people behind some of the people that I already enjoyed watching.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. And it is, you know, because I'm 52 years old, people who were born in 2000 and afterwards don't know what it's like not to have internet.
True.
It's total Star Trek to me. The ability that you can meet someone on the other side of the planet and go, hey, we're going to meet up and drink whiskey together.
So cool, huh?
And the ability to, whether we're in person or doing this over the internet, is just amazing. People take it for granted. But that's sort of my thought of is we're in such a unique time, unique whiskeys, probably the best that ever existed, but also the ability to share drams around the world, whether it's in person or like with Roy Agavite, because he went live earlier today, as well as the Scotch for Dummies, to meet and know these people, so that when we're not on the other sides of the planet and meet each other, it's like, yeah, we already know each other.
That was one of the coolest things about showing up here. Like I said, we're staying in the same hotel. So you know,
no, we're not staying in the same room.
Not same room. Although there are 2 beds here.
No.
Anyway, so we're at the same hotel. But when I first showed up at the door and I knocked, first off, I did the shave and a haircut, which I just thought was hilarious. And he opened the door, and immediately it was like, I've talked to this guy for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Like there was absolutely no awkwardness, at least not that I felt. Yeah. And it was like meeting a friend that I haven't seen in quite a while.
Right.
So I love the fact that whiskey has brought people like you and I together.
Right.
And I just think it's a very cool thing.
Right.
So
anyhow,
yeah.
So
move the chairs. You suck, Sylv. So anyway, Erik Wait is a scholar and a gentleman. Actually, literally. You know, it's funny you say that, but like you literally are a man of education.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
So,
a quest for knowledge, curiosity, always trying to answer a question that I have rolling on my head. What about this? Why is this way? Mm-hmm. And yet, for every answer I get, there's 10 more questions. Yeah. So it's one of the other things that I enjoy. Anyway, so we've been going on for 2.5 hours or so. I sincerely want to thank everyone for tuning in. Anyone who's watching this on the replay. If you're watching this on the replay and you make it all the way to the end, you're crazy. Yeah. But
leave a comment if you did.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
Leave a comment. Yeah. But I had an absolutely fantastic time. Hopefully we didn't annoy the neighbors in this place too much.
Yeah. Well, we paid enough for the rooms. They can be annoyed.
Exactly. Yeah. But anyhow, so Bill, again, great meeting up with you. You got an empty glass?
There's a little tiny bit there.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Anyway, so hey, thank y'all for tuning in and have a great weekend and ciao.
Cheers.